help is on the way, storms. You may remember over 20 tornadoes hit the state, killing 5 people. On top of relief centers already open in Sullivan and Whiteland, FEMA is now going to open relief centers in Clinton, Howard, and White counties as part of a disaster declaration from President Biden. The deadline to apply for relief is June 14th. Nearly 3 dozen guns stolen from a firearms store in Beech Grove in Marion County.
They back out. These 3 misguided citizens of Indianapolis will head straight for these 2 handgun cases.
Greg Burge, owner of Beech Grove Firearms, talking through surveillance footage on Wish TV. He says 3 perps used an SUV to bust through the front of the building, get in, and take what they could, and they were gone within 40 seconds. The ATF now involved to try and find the thieves. A teenage boy shot and killed in Edinburgh Sunday. Pedro Castillo-Salerman arrested for that shooting. Also, a 9-year-old boy killed when he was hit by a car in Westfield Saturday. The driver of that collision stayed at the scene. The government could hit the debt ceiling in the summer and default on its bills. Indiana Congressman Rudy Yoakum says the House has done its job to avoid that.
The plan is to discipline Congress by rolling back spending levels by just 1 year, he says.
That is not, as Democrats would like us to believe, is not a catastrophic event.
Democrats who control the Senate so far do not like part of the Republican plan and have refused to negotiate. Yoakum says he has reason to believe that will change. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
An exciting battle down the stretch between Scott McLaughlin and Romain Grosjean in the closing laps at Barber Sunday. Scotty Mack coming out ahead.
It's a great way to finish April, get some momentum, bit of confidence, and attack the greatest race ever.
It's his 4th career win in IndyCar. The series heads to Indianapolis in 2 weeks for the GMR Grand Prix. Traffic on the 5s, Matt Baer.
Kurt, we still have a rolled semi on the east side. On the ramp from westbound 72, northbound 465. That ramp is open. You can use that. The delay is not bad. There is a slowdown, of course, while you make your exit, but just be careful. You'll be fine. North Split is open. 65 open into North Split. 70 open into North Split. You can go in any direction for the first time in spring of 2021. It is fine. Traffic sponsored by the LASIK Center. TLC LASIK Eye Centers is the doctor's choice for LASIK. Get $1,000 off LASIK when treated in May. That's $500 off per eye plus guaranteed financing. Visit saveontlc.com for details. I'm Matt Baer with traffic on the 5s. Follow us on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
The internet can be an all-you-can-eat buffet for identity thieves.
So full.
Too many maiden names.
And social security numbers.
Where'd you find those?
By the password bar. Can't miss them.
LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss by monitoring your credit and bank statements. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Cloudy, blustery, scattered showers today, a high only of 47 tonight. Cloudy and breezy, a few showers possible through the overnight, a low of 41. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Few showers on radar, 42 on Monument Circle. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's spring flowers headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, May 1st. It is 6 minutes after 9. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. We're going to call today Mayor Day because throughout the show, We're going to have 3 mayors, potential three potential mayors on the show for interviews.
By the way, did you know, Casey?
Yeah.
Tomorrow is Election Day.
I've heard that. You're going to tell me that throughout the morning, aren't you?
So, yes, we're going to have, coming up at 9:30, we're going to have Woody Ryder, who's running to be the mayor of Carmel. Mm-hmm. At 10:30, we're going to have Scott Willis, who's running to be the mayor of Westfield. We are, with Scott, going to address the egregious
What you talking about, Willis?
Decision he made to not run his ad starting with what you talking about, Willis.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 11:15, we're going to have Abdul with us, who's running to be the mayor of Indianapolis.
Sounds good. Okay, so Bill Maher and Elon Musk, they were trading notes on Friday on wokeness and cancel culture, and this was on Bill Maher's Real Time, which is on HBO. They've kind of got this damned if you do, damned if you don't attitude. But during the conversation, Elon Musk told Bill Maher that the woke mind virus has infiltrated schools and teachers are indoctrinating American youth.
It must be refreshing there, because I've never had the moment because I've always been this way. But it must be refreshing to have a moment in your life by which you say, I no longer care about the ramifications of speaking my mind. So, for example, I accepted at a very young age that I was going to be a poor person throughout my life. And as such, I learned to live as a poor person. But the value in always being able to tell someone exactly what you think of them, there is no monetary value I can put on the peace of mind I have every single night when I put my head on the pillow and know that I have said exactly what I wanted and I didn't hold back because I'm worried about a paycheck or the value of a company or whatever. And for Elon Musk, you know now, based on his behavior the past year, that for 20 plus years, he was biting his tongue, not saying things that he thought about politicians, about the radical left. And now, since the purchase of Twitter, he's basically just said, I'm embracing this. I'm going to say what I think. And if Tesla is hurt in the process,
so be it.
It's like a real life, the movie Bulworth, right? It's like a come to life version of Bulworth, and it's kind of refreshing.
I think what you call that is blank you money.
Yes.
When you've got a certain amount, you just don't care anymore.
You have to either make one of two. You have to make one of two choices. You can make the choice like I did, which is money doesn't matter to you and you will lose. I can't tell you the amount of money, Casey, having an opinion has cost me over the years. Don't care. Do not care. Or you have to be in a position like Elon Musk where you have so much money that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, I lost $1 billion.
Don't care.
Who cares?
Yeah. At least he's free to tell the truth, at least his truth. Many people are saying he's conservative, and he still keeps claiming, no, I'm a moderate. But at one point during their conversation, Bill Maher asked if this wokeness is on the parents. And Elon says it's been happening for 20 plus years, and parents just don't know what kids are being taught. And as we've seen recently with that video that was released of all the schools and the superintendents throughout the state of Indiana, well, they don't know what they're being taught because half the time it's not being transparent to them. They're being lied to.
Yeah, so let's take a little listen here to Elon Musk on with Bill Maher.
Woke mind virus. How did it start? Was it bats? Was it a escape from a lab? I mean, what is your assessment of what? Because it's fairly recent. How did it start and why?
I was trying to figure out where it's coming from. I think it's actually been a long time brewing. In that I think it's been going on for a while. The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. And I sort of came to realize this somewhat late. The experience that we had in high school and college is not the experience that kids today are having, and hasn't been for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 20 years. So,
aren't parents themselves also a big part of the problem?
I suppose in some cases that parents, but I think like the parents are just generally not aware of what their kids are being taught, or what they're not being taught.
They're letting the kids think that they're equal.
I mean, yeah. Let me give you an example that a friend of mine told me, which his daughters go to college. And,
okay,
and
I want to be able to get into
school.
this. And by the way, we let Casey do the template today.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's the greatest show ever, you get all the credit. If it's the worst show ever, it's all your fault.
Okay.
And you've got 9,000 pieces of audio we've got to get through on this template today.
Yeah.
So a couple things that he said that I think are super important.
Yeah.
Number one, it's like the frog in the boiling pot of water thing that happened here, where it wasn't instantaneous that one day this radical leftism just blatantly started getting taught in public schools. It's been a build-up to this where they keep getting away with it. They being the public education extremists, the angry red-shirted teachers, they keep getting away with stuff. And the reason they keep getting away with it, and by the way, isn't it amazing? Elon Musk is one of the most brilliant people walking the planet, and I find him so uninspiring verbally. Like, I dread, and we have to play him because he is so important in society, but I dread when we play his audio because I want to stab myself between the eyes with an ice pick because he will not form complete sentences, and he mumbles, and it's like, how are you the richest man in the world?
Yeah, I think the same thing, and I often wonder, is it because he is selecting his words so carefully?
I just think some people just communicate their brilliance differently, and he's obviously IQ off the charts, but he verbally sucks. But he's very important. And one of the things I think he was trying to say, if he would ever get to the damn point, is parents are to blame on this because my parents taught me how to think for myself. So like if a teacher, now they didn't do anything the level of what we're seeing today, but if a teacher pulled what I perceive to be bull crap in the classroom, even at 16, 17 years old, I knew how to think for myself and either push back on the teacher or I had in college one time, I took a class and the teacher absolutely was the polar opposite of everything I was politically. And we really didn't even do the class. It would just be me and the teacher debating, fighting, arguing, whatever. And I got an A in the class because she admitted, she's like, the students are getting way more out of this than whatever I was going to teach. I knew how to think for myself because my parents taught me how to think for myself. And they were engaged in what did you learn today in school. And if there was something that was a red flag, they would then engage me in a conversation on it. Parents are to blame. I'm sorry. We can put yes, obviously it's ridiculous where our tax money is going, how these teachers are manipulating and indoctrinating and abusing little kids for their warped ideology, how they're hiding it from parents. But ultimately, those are your kids.
Right. You're supposed to engage with them.
You have to know.
It's the dinner table. Well, and one thing that Bill Maher says, well, Elon Musk says, it's different. When we were in school and when we were in college and we were in high school, it's a different experience. And I believe that because when I was in high school, it was much different than what my daughter experienced. And I kind of trusted in the process that she was getting the same education I was getting.
Why did you trust? That's the question. Why did you trust it?
Well, because I had no reason not to. Like, why would I think she was getting a different... I knew certain things were much different. I knew I didn't have active shooter drills when I was in high school. We had tornado drills. So I knew there were certain elements that were different. But when it comes to curriculum, why would I second guess that? I just expected that it would be the same stuff that I was taught, but it wasn't. So Vivek Ramaswamy,
your boyfriend,
he was on Face the Nation, and he stated that gender dysmorphia is being taught in schools. So he was going after schools as well. Let's take a listen.
Part of why parents now suddenly feel that way, let's ask ourselves that, Chuck, is we've created a culture that teaches parents that they're being bigoted or that they're bad people if they don't actually take those steps. So part of what I think is, listen, gender dysphoria, for the rare few people who have suffered it, is a condition of suffering. My question is, why on earth are we going out of our way to create even more of it? And there's no doubt that the cultural movement in this country, even education, is creating more gender dysphoria. If it's a condition of suffering, let's not create more of it. That's what we're doing.
So he's running for president. You love him because he has a very big
wallet.
And not to say you're not very happy in your current situation, but you perhaps could see yourself being happier. And so you're enamored with this guy. Now, I don't think he's all that great, but you think he's the guy.
I don't think he's the guy, but I appreciate that he's bringing conversations to the forefront.
I've never seen
He's not dodging them. He's not afraid to have his conviction out there.
Casey, I have never seen, you may have heard we're doing very well in the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen a major talk radio station play more clips of a guy polling at 0.3% than we do here on this radio show. So it's fine. You really like this guy.
Well, Bill Clinton was third place at this point in the race as well. And I feel that Vivek maybe is in that space at this point in time where the election is going. But let's get to this last clip really quick. Chuck Todd asked Vivek how he knows that there's no spectrum for gender, and Vivek is having none of it.
How do you know it's that? Again, how do you know? Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum?
I am.
You know this as a scientist?
Well, there's two X chromosomes if you're a woman, an X and a Y. That means you're a man.
There's a lot of scientific research out
this.
there. There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Chuck, I respectfully disagree. Gender dysphoria for most of our history, all the way through the DSM-5, has been characterized as a mental health disorder, and I don't think it's compassionate to affirm that. I think that's cruelty. When a kid is crying out for help, what they're asking for is, you got to ask the question of what else is going wrong at home? What else is going wrong at school? Let's be compassionate and get to the heart of that, rather than playing this game as though we're actually changing our medical understanding for the last 100 years.
That is so stupid, Casey. And we got to get to it. Can we take a break? Because when we come back, I may say something that gets me fired, but I don't even care. That is beyond stupid.
On
Chuck
what?
Todd
Chuck
is,
Todd?
He is, that is.
Yes. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
The pothole. Formed in colder months, tiny fissures are born. And in no time at all, they grow into big, gigantic tire killers. That's why you need Matt Baird Traffic.
Watch out on Keystone Avenue.
He'll guide you around these hidden monsters.
Yeah, might as well call it a basement.
And on to safer ground.
You don't want to be in the far left lane.
Mornings and afternoons on 93 WIBC.
Taking the family on a little road trip to Wisconsin later this summer, and you can bet I am not leaving without my AAA card. So if the family truckster breaks down in the middle of nowhere, I have that peace of mind that AAA has my back. Plus, you can get complimentary travel planning and access to discounts on hotels, cruises, rental cars, and much more. They can make sure you get the best price on your next vacation just by being a AAA member.
Plus, if you run into trouble on the road when you're out of town this summer, AAA has you covered. Flat tire, dead battery, run out of gas, lock your keys in the car. You name it, AAA is there for you 24/7, 365, no matter where your travels take you. It makes the perfect gift for somebody, perhaps for graduation. So, before your summer travels get underway, do yourself a favor. Join AAA today. Visit AAA.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
Your neighbor Mark loves spring in Indy, but he hates to paint. So he called Rhino Shield.
It's a two-story home built in 1992. Around 2001, looking at needing to paint, I heard a radio ad, with Rhino Shield, you won't have to paint again for another 25 years.
That's because Rhino Shield's not paint. It's better.
They're very professional. We had everything done. Everything that would typically be painted on a house was done, and it was very fast.
All right, Indy, get the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield right now for 15% off the regular price.
It was done in 2001 and still going strong. From what I've seen on our home, they can easily offer a 25-year guarantee and not worry about it.
Here's owner Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Don't paint. Don't vinyl. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Did you get a heating and air conditioning quote that you're just not sure of? Give us a call for a free second opinion.
317-577-8077 for Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The greenhouse is full of color at Sundown Gardens. The nursery has a wide selection of great plants and trees at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road. SundownGardens.com, SundownGardens.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
Oh, he's mean.
And Casey Daniels.
She's kind, she's humble.
On 93 WIBC.
It is 922, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and Super Mario Brothers, the movie, has joined an exclusive club that started forming in 2020 when the pandemic started. That is movies that have reached 10 figures, which Super Mario Brothers have done, collecting over $1 billion at the box office. Other movies that have done this: Jurassic World Dominion, Top Gun Maverick, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Avatar The Way of the Water. Also trending this morning, Tim Bachman from BTO. He has passed away at the age of 71. Their hits include Let It Ride, Roll Down the Highway, Taking Care of Business, and this one.
Ain't seen nothing yet. Baby, you just ain't seen nothing yet.
Classic staple of any classic rock or classic hits radio station.
Isn't it interesting? Because the 1970s, of which BTO was at their peak, the early to mid 1970s, was sort of the second wave in which there was a generation of people where music mattered. So the first generation where music mattered and was kind of at the epicenter of society was the 1950s, early 1960s wave. So basically like Elvis through the early Beatles. It was like music is the thing. It's shaping culture. It's influencing young people. That really had not happened on a large scale in society until the mid 1950s. And so then there was kind of this lull really after Beatlemania. And then it kind of re-established itself where music is the culture or the voice of the culture or defining what people do. And that late 1960s through the mid 1970s, it was once again that. And those people who were the front men of that are literally dying off. Mm-hmm. And when you think about BTO do we put them on the same category of, say, the Rolling Stones? No. But you know my theory, Casey. We got into this with Bread several weeks ago. If you have had 3 mega hits, then you are the upper echelon of music history, and you should be placed in that class of reverence, and BTO certainly did it. They had more than 3 mega hits.
Yeah, and sustainable hits, too, because any one of their songs, Let It Ride, Taking Care of Business, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, still currently being played on classic hits and classic rock radio consistently, and have been since their release. 24 minutes after 9, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. You want to go back and review Vivek when he was talking with Chuck Todd on Face the Nation.
Oh, yeah. So let's reset this for everyone who did not hear. Vivek Ramaswamy, who Casey is madly in love with, was on, he's running for president, was on with Chuck Todd on
Face the Nation.
No, he's NBC. What is NBC? That's Meet the Press.
Oh, yeah.
And they got into this comment about genders, and Chuck Todd said one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Let's replay it for you.
How do you know it's that? Again, how do you know? Are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum?
I am.
You know this as a scientist?
Well, there's 2 X chromosomes if you're a woman, an X and a Y. That means you're a man.
There's a lot of scientific research out there. There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Chuck, I respectfully disagree. Gender dysphoria for most of our history, all the way through the DSM-5, has been characterized as a mental health disorder, and I don't think it's compassionate to affirm that. I think that's cruelty. When a kid is crying out for help, what they're asking for is, you got to ask the question of what else is going wrong at home.
Okay, yeah.
What else is going wrong?
So this is what the left does. They take the insane or the ridiculous or the uber ultra rare and normalize it. Vivek Ramaswamy is right. It was called a disorder because it is. It's not, doesn't mean you're less of a human being if you're a man and believe you're a woman, but that is not normal. It's not. It's so rare that you actually believe that unless you're being manipulated to think that. It is up until very recently a disorder because that's what it is. It is not normal behavior. There's a reason men and women have to be together to procreate. There's 2 of them. There's a man and a woman. There's a male and a female. And for him to stand up there and go, well, science says, bull crap.
I think it's really interesting that on mainstream media, on a leading news program, Chuck Todd says, well, don't you think there's a spectrum? Are you a scientist? And Vivek, which is why I like him, he was having none of it. He was like not afraid. He didn't back down. He just said, no, you know what? I disagree. This is where I stand on this issue.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Casey, did you know
that tomorrow's election day?
Tomorrow is election day.
I heard that.
And so today, throughout the day, we're going to be interviewing mayoral candidates for some of the big offices across central Indiana. There's several primaries on the ballot tomorrow. And when we come back, Woody Ryder, he's running to be the mayor of Carmel, is going to join us. There's been so much drama in this Carmel mayor's race. This dude got accused of like strong-arming vendors with the city to support him, or they were going to have contracts, and he's really wants to talk about that, really wants to push back on that, and talk about his vision for the city of Carmel. So we said, come on down.
We're going to ask him all about it next on 93 WIBC.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150-milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
Are you thinking about your next home improvement project, but you need more than a window replacement? Whether it's siding, entry doors, or maybe a bath or shower remodel, design it before you buy it. That's right. B's using the latest in technology to create an architectural design so you can see our products on your house before you purchase. For a limited time, receive 50% off all products, plus special manufacturer rebates and 20 months no interest, no payments.
Trust me.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A third bank folds. Some light rain on radar, cloudy and 43 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Another bank failure as J.P. Morgan Chase will be acquiring the assets of First Republic.
First Republic was largely seen as the next bank to fold. Its viability had wavered since Silicon Valley Bank and Signature went under in March. Reuters reported over the weekend that the FDIC had found its position just too weak for a private lifesaver. So banking regulators stepped in and have now accepted that bid from J.P. Morgan Chase. J.P. Morgan CEO saying in a release today that the government asked his company and others to step up, so they did.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. Witnesses expected to testify next in the civil trial in New York City where Donald Trump is accused of rape. Writer E. Jean Carroll gave dramatic testimony last week describing how she says Trump raped her in a Manhattan department store dressing room in the mid-1990s. Trump says it's all a lie in order to get her to sell books, and Carroll says that denial is defamation. And now your stock report. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down 20 points at the opening bell to 34,180. The Nasdaq down as well 20 points to 13,299. And the S&P 500 is down 5 to 4,183. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Live life to the fullest. You hear that all the time, but it's easier said than done when you're in pain, right? Tony Katz here, and QC Kinetics is in the business of giving people back their quality of life, and not just providing that relief, but doing it in the most non-invasive way possible, utilizing regenerative treatments from your body's own natural biologics. So where is your joint pain? Your knees, your hips, your shoulder, your back? QC Kinetics concentrates these impactful treatments right at the source of your pain, directly applying healing properties where you need them the most. No surgery, no downtime, and patients are raving about the results. So what does living life to the fullest look like for you? Finally be able to play golf, hike, walk your dog, enjoy time with your family. Whatever it is, don't wait one more day. Get started today with a call to QC Kinetics for your complimentary consultation. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and now in Carmel. So call 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. Eagle Creek, Greenwood, and Carmel. 317-559-PAIN.
Pulling up to Mickey D's just for drinks? Oh yeah, that's me. Nothing extra, just perfection and a straw. Coming in hot for the coldest cups on the block. Because there are drinks. Then there are drinks from McDonald's.
Pull up to McDonald's and grab any size soft drink or sweet tea for $1.29. Or any size frozen drink for $2. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
There goes the last DJ who plays what he wants to play and says what he wants to
93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Hey, Casey.
Yeah.
Did you... What?
Are you going to ask me if I knew tomorrow's election day?
Yes! Did you know tomorrow's election day?
What? You're kidding.
And one of the things we're doing today is showcasing some of the big races across central Indiana. One of the biggest is the race to be the Republican nominee to be the next mayor of Carmel. And joining us now, Kevin Woody Ryder. He's one of those Republicans running. Woody, how are you?
I couldn't be better. Glad to be here.
Now, I asked April this, your campaign manager, yesterday. I said, he goes by Woody. Mm-hmm. Where did that name come from? Where did Woody come from, Kevin?
When I decided I wanted to own my own restaurant instead of doing consulting, helping other people, I bought a liquor license. I didn't drink, and I didn't go to bars. But I'm going to own a bar. I went and got a part-time job as a bartender at night. And with the high hairline, the glasses, people started calling me Woody.
I love it. That's great.
It stuck. And the first night we opened at Woody's, 168 people came through the door.
See, Casey, this is why our show's... Did you know, Casey, we're number one?
I heard that.
Why our show's number one. We ask all the hard-hitting questions.
Exactly. We get information like that.
Woody, have you been asked that question on any other radio show or any other media appearance you've done? Where the hell did Woody come from?
I have not been asked that.
See, perfect. So, seriously, though...
Breaking news.
You are a member of the Carmel City Council. I can't think of few things worse in life than having to be in politics or government. You've decided you want to double down and be the mayor of Carmel. Why do you want to do this?
Well, other than losing 18 pounds and lowering my blood pressure by knocking on doors, do you want something else?
Absolutely.
I've served for 16 years on the city council and 12 years on the plan commission, 1 year on the Carmel redevelopment commission. So I pulled double duty. This community gave me my life. At 21, I opened my first foods establishment in Carmel. It was called Parcel Pizza. And, my life has come from Carmel. I've enjoyed giving it back. I've spent 24 years at Northview Church. And with this mayor retiring after 28 years, it's time for somebody with experience. The most people say, what's the most important thing about this election? The most important thing is this election. We need some continuity. We need somebody with the experience that knows how to run what we did. And I've had 16 years serving with our mayor. I think that puts me in that position. I've also had a business in Carmel for over 4 decades. I take care of every dollar as a small business owner. You can't get more conservative than that.
Yeah, and I think there's something bold about somebody who's lived basically their whole life somewhere, or the meaningful moments of their life somewhere, and they want to get back to it. Woody Ryder's our guest. He's ready to be the mayor of Carmel.
Okay, so let's talk about Carmel for a second. Number one, just like in everything. You get number one rated schools, number one housing, number one best place to raise a family.
Yeah, why are you guys so rich? Oh, that wasn't your question?
No, my question is, what is the future of Carmel? And you're on defense pretty much, because with all of these number one rankings and everything, it's almost like don't mess up.
The key is be proactive. Proactive is my word. We use it with crime. We use it with fire. We always make sure that our public safety has the best of everything. And then for Carmel, it's, the mayor did the roundabouts. He had a vision in '96 and created Midtown. It's going to be what's the next best first.
Mm-hmm. And what is that, in your opinion?
I'm going to be looking for it.
Okay.
We need to constantly be looking for the next best first to keep us in first.
Now, you had mentioned crime, and we've seen, obviously, in Indianapolis, we've seen the crime rising. And last week, we heard tales of it spreading out. And even Rick Snyder said it's gonna go to areas like Carmel. What do you think of that, and what's your plan to stop that?
The best technology. We know when you enter Carmel, if you have a warrant connected to your license plate, every police officer in Carmel knows it when you enter Carmel. You can't wait for it to come. You have to stay ahead of it. We pride ourselves, our police chief, when he was on the drug task force, my favorite story he ever told me was, I was doing a drug deal and the drug dealer said, I will meet you anywhere but Carmel.
Woody Ryder is our guest. He's ready to be the mayor of Carmel. Voting, do you know, Casey, voting is tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
May the 2nd.
That's right.
So let's talk about, obviously, Casey touched on it a little bit. You guys got a lot of nice stuff in Carmel. And there's a lot of people who have different views about the stuff. A lot of it is government-funded stuff. A lot of people are concerned about the debt in Carmel. Fred Glenn, one of the people you're running against, has kind of made that a focal point of his campaign. He did that in 2019 as well. How do you respond to that? Does Carmel have too much debt? Is it something the residents should be worried about? Or do you say, hey, it's all working, it doesn't matter, we'll get it paid off eventually?
A combination of both. The debt has been used as a political football in the last few elections because they needed something to go after the mayor. Without our debt, which in my opinion is an investment in our taxpayers, we wouldn't have what we have. We use 17% of our revenue to pay our debt. Only 13% of our debt is paid by property taxes. Our sewer and water pays 18% of our debt. Well, our user fees that pays that are 35 to 50% less than anybody around us. Our sewer plant processes wastewater from Westfield. I mean, we make money with our utility. So everything that we've done has had a plan, and yes, it's very manageable.
People like me, I'm a West Sider. I'm from Brownsburg. I just poke fun at Carmel and the reflexive pool and the taxpayer-funded hotel and the Palladium. Do I just not get it? Do I not understand? Or I just need somebody to make fun of to feel better about myself?
Well, actually, you just gave me a softball for one of the keys of my administration.
That's what we do here.
We're
just tossing them up, man.
I appreciate that. Communication. I think the key, you got to give people the information. People are uncomfortable with what they don't know. So I'm going to do information dump. I call it Carmel Finance 101. If you want to know it, I'm going to put together a presentation. You'll come to a school, and I'll show you top to bottom.
What? Transparency in government? That's crazy.
Kevin, you're going into the wrong field.
We've spent a lot of time talking about property taxes, and of course, property taxes are affecting people in Carmel. What can you do about this? Is there any way that the mayor of Carmel can help?
Well, I was disappointed that the legislature just recently, on a Thursday night, pulled 3 items out of a bill that would have helped with property tax relief. The one thing that people don't pay attention to, and this will be part of that communication I was talking about, is as those tax increment financing bonds expire, that assessed value dumps onto our assessed value. Well, as another mayor candidate prior to me said, when assessed value dumps in, it lowers the rate.
Woody Ryder is our guest, running to be the mayor of Carmel. Now, we love a little bit of drama on this show, Woody. You may have heard that. And
maybe.
One of your opponents put out some pretty serious allegations against you. We want to give you the opportunity to address them, saying basically you were trying to strong-arm people, vendors with the city, businesses who do business with the city, saying, well, if you're not for me, you're out of here come next year. Sue Finkham dropped the grenade. Would you like to respond to it?
I would. It was absolutely not true. I was horribly disappointed in that. What's funny is I raised all of my money before Sue Finkham or Fred Glenn got into the race. I haven't had a fundraiser in 2023.
Wow, that's pretty... nothing?
Not one fundraiser. I've raised money because people have just given me money. I haven't had a fundraiser in 2023.
Why would she say that? She seems like a pretty nice person. I've corresponded with her a couple of times. You know, I'm easily deceived as well, though. Casey had me totally snowed when we first started working together. But why would somebody say something like that? Have you addressed that with her?
I didn't give it the credit. There was no reason for me to address it with her. I've denied it. It's not true. I found it disappointing. I said when I started my race, it's Ryder for Carmel, not Ryder against Finkham or Ryder against Glenn. I'm going to stay positive. They can attack me all they want. I don't want to harm somebody else to get a job.
Woody Ryder, our guest, he's running to be the mayor of Carmel. Voting is tomorrow. And let's talk about that real quick before I let you go. You guys, whether you're running for Carmel or Westfield or Noblesville or any local election, deserve a lot of credit because people don't understand the amount of effort and what an Operation Election Day is. What's Election Day look like for you? I mean, you got to get people to the polls. You got to get people putting out yard signs. That is a big, for lack of better terms, almost a military-type operation.
2 weeks after the last election, I made my decision I was going to run for mayor. So I've got a strong team in place. We have everything organized, and we are ready to go.
You've been planning this for a while. There's no surprises for you tomorrow.
No, it's up or down tomorrow. I say if I win tomorrow, I look forward to doing the job. I've put my time in. I think experience is going to be the most important thing, and that's why I started 3 years ago.
How confident are you?
Cautiously optimistic. Let's go with that.
He's so calm.
He's got a bit of swagger, though. You can't hear it, but there's a bit of swagger.
You know, there's no reason to stress. I've spent 40 years working for myself. In the restaurant business, you deal with stuff every day.
Yeah.
I just admire the heck out of this because before my election, Casey, I was up all night pounding Red Bulls.
Were you a trembling, sweaty mess?
Gosh, I was like putting the signs out at 2:30 in the morning and calling people, and they're like, leave us alone. It's 2:30 in the morning. This guy is like, nothing.
Well, like he's mentioned, he's got some experience doing this.
Yeah.
So he's just leaning on that.
Hey, Woody, people want to know more about your campaign. If they want to learn more about what you guys are, your vision for the city of Carmel, how can they do that?
Well, it's Ryder for Carmel, but I did something a little unique. A week ago, I sent out a mailer to all of Carmel that had my cell phone on it.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Is anybody texting you?
I have probably gotten over 50 calls or texts.
Yeah. Anything inappropriate?
No.
Okay.
No, it's been shockingly good.
Casey, it's Carmel. They don't allow inappropriate in Carmel. You get
That's why they're number one in everything,
just
Rob.
A vanquishment to the sand dunes of time if you're inappropriate in Carmel.
I want to ask Woody one last question before we go because we've been talking with the candidates of Westfield, and they say they want to get hotels and things, businesses in Westfield to take away from Carmel. What do you think of that, and what do you think that would do to Carmel?
Well, I have appreciated all the business they've sent us, being in the business I'm in. But I will tell you, to me, every community in Hamilton County being stronger makes Carmel stronger. The stronger county we are, so I look forward to working with them. I don't think it'll take away from us. I think it'll just build.
Kevin, Woody Ryder, running to be the next mayor of Carmel. Thanks so much for your time, and good luck tomorrow.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, how safe is the banking industry and how well did the Colts do in the draft? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Mom, Dad, Sis?
Here we go again.
Why are you in a suit? Picture, if you will, a world with the best network imaginable. I'm talking about the Xfinity 10G network. Go on. Mom, remember how your reality shows wouldn't load with all of us online? Now you can binge. And Susie, we'll have fast internet in the basement.
Nice.
If you have any questions, here's my card.
This is just your name on a gum wrapper.
Introducing the 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through June 21st, new customers can get 200 megabit per second internet on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $35 a month for 2 years. Plus, there's no annual contract required and you get Wi-Fi equipment included. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless fill-in and auto-pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary.
Helzberg Diamonds presents The Guy Who Did His Homework. When it came to Jill's engagement ring, Brady knew exactly what to get.
Okay, so I came up with a design and showed it to all of our friends.
She'll love it.
Then he went to Helzberg. Their incredible selection of high-quality, lab-grown, and natural diamonds made creating that special ring easy. Her reaction?
I love it. Can't wait to tell everybody.
Everybody might know about it.
Be like Brady. Create the ring of your dreams at a Helzberg near you or at Helzberg.com. Ask now about special financing offers.
Fellas, need an annual health exam for work or just want to start the year prioritizing your health? We recommend Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone.
It's typically covered by most health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for full labs and an office visit with the provider. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Edwards Equipment in Danville, one of America's first Kubota dealers, is celebrating 50 years in business, and customers are the winner. From your lawn to the farm, family-owned Edwards Equipment in Danville has the experience and Kubota products to improve your outdoor living. May 13th is Edwards Customer Appreciation Event. Lunch is provided, and the WIBC Home and Garden Show will be broadcasting on-site. Stop by and test drive your new piece of Kubota equipment. Special financing will be available. Celebrating 50 years in business, Edwards Equipment in Danville.
This is Scott Willis running for mayor of Westfield. As a colonel in the United States Marines, I stood up for our country, our families, and our values. As mayor, I have the leadership and vision to make Westfield a world-class city. How do we build a world-class city without losing the qualities we love? We do it with transparency, integrity, and smart leadership. I am a lifelong Republican. I'll work to diversify our tax base and to lower residential taxes. On Election Day, experience matters. I'm Scott Willis, and I'd be honored to have your vote.
Paid for by Willis for Westfield.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Good morning. It is 9:49. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. So the White House Correspondents' Dinner was held on Saturday. This is an annual dinner hosted this year inside the Washington Hilton. Drew thousands of guests in support of freedom of the press. And that is something that Joe Biden called the pillar of a free society, not the enemy.
You mean the freedom to cheerlead for whoever the Democrat nominee for president is?
Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say that because we'll get to the cheerleading in just a moment. But here is the White House Correspondents Association president. Her name is Tamara Keith, and she states all of the mainstream media outlets that have downsized recently.
This is a challenging time for the news industry. My employer, NPR, just went through a painful round of layoffs, and we aren't alone. ABC, BuzzFeed, CBS, CNN, Gannett, Insider, Vice News Tonight, The Washington Post. I had to alphabetize the list. It is so long.
Oh, NPR, had to have some layoffs.
Maybe if they told the truth.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head, which is people. And by the way, think about NPR. That's a taxpayer-funded organization.
Exactly.
Think about where they'd be if we weren't subsidizing their bull crap. They'd have like 2 employees left. But it's a business. People don't want the crap that you're shoveling down their throat. It's why CNN's in trouble. Because people don't want that. And yet these organizations are so wed to their ideology and promoting liberalism and radical left policies above doing their job that they're willing to see the ship sink
while they're on it.
There is no...
And then joke about it.
They are an arm of the Democrat Party. They are one and the same. And just like the Democrat Party, They're colossal failures.
Yeah. Used to be that they would present facts and you would form your opinion. Now they give you your opinion and you have to determine what are facts in this story.
The reason we do so well, we being this radio station, one of the most listened to by market shares radio stations in America. There's only maybe one or two in terms of major market talk stations that by market share do better than us, is because we give people what they want and what they can't get anywhere else. A big reason our show, you may have seen our ratings, we're doing very well.
Yes.
Like very well.
Thank you to the listeners. Thank you.
The reason we do as well as we do is because Republicans suck. And people are sick of their crap. And we're the show that talks about it. We're the show that talks about how people out there are feeling, how disappointed and disenchanted they are with the Indiana Republican Party, and how they keep stealing money from people and supporting their cronies and their buddies and angry red-shirted teachers at the expense of everyone else. If people didn't want that, they wouldn't listen. People listen because they believe it. And yet these other organizations look around and go, well, it's not fair that we're failing. And we don't have any idea why. You're failing because you're not being honest with the people, and they see through it.
Okay, and to that point, at the dinner, reporters are cheering after Biden mentions his reelection campaign. Well, let's take a listen, and then we'll discuss this.
Yeah, I know. I just announced my reelection campaign.
Okay, so this is a room full of journalists, and should they be hobnobbing and cheering with those in power? I mean, shouldn't this be more like the no cheering in the press box rule? When you go up to the press box, for example, you're at Notre Dame Stadium, and you're up in the press box. You're a member of the press. Even if Notre Dame scores a touchdown or does something fantastic, there's a rule. You're not supposed to cheer. When the opponent does something stupid and fumbles the ball or gets sacked, you're not supposed to cheer. You're supposed to be impartial.
Yeah, but you also don't have Dan Devine up there. This is the equivalent of having Dan Devine. Dan Devine was a famous coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I believe won a national championship at Notre Dame in the 70s. That's who you have up there. You don't have a neutral person. You don't have the sports writer. You have Ara Parsegian.
Mm-hmm.
You have Newt Rockney. You have people who are invested in the outcome. By the way, I've always thought that these White House correspondents' dinners, press dinners, whatever, these people essentially celebrate themselves. And I've always thought that the one that did it for me was, remember when Bush was president and
he had the impersonator there with him?
It was when he started looking for the weapons of mass destruction and cracking jokes about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, as a person whose generation and my friends were the ones over there fighting, and people are coming back without arms and legs and dying and mental, disorders. Not funny, dude.
Yeah.
Not funny that your person, Colin Powell, manipulated data at the United Nations. Not funny. Glad it's funny to you. Why? Because your daddy was president and the head of the CIA, and you're forever wealthy. That was so offensive to me where, well, guess we can't find them. Not funny. And none of these, it's like the Academy Awards, or it's just an opportunity for these people to celebrate themselves and say how great we are, and the politicians are in cahoots with them. It's everybody versus us, Casey.
And they're walking a red carpet like this is a star-studded event. Okay, so Joe Biden, of course, is at the dinner, and he said that the dinner was a lot like his first 2 years in office.
In a lot of ways, this dinner sums up my first 2 years in office. I'll talk for 10 minutes, take 0 questions, and cheerfully walk away.
I think what he means is that he'll bumble and lie for 10 minutes, take 0 questions, and then stand there until a handler directs him. But again, laughing it off like everything's great and wonderful.
There is no, I mean, I shouldn't say there is no, but by and large, in the mainstream national media, there is a very limited amount of people who are actually still on the side of truth, who are actually still trying to find the information and relay it to you so that you can make an informed decision. You are being manipulated by a group of people who have a vested interest in the outcome, and the outcome is continuing to promote their warped radical left ideology above all else. They don't care about profit. They don't care about staying in business. They don't care about listenership or readership or viewership. That is totally a distant second to them continuing to try to manipulate your way of thinking based on the information that they provide to you.
Those people that are speaking the truth now are what you would call independent journalists,
Yes.
and most of them now can be found online instead. Now, the event was headlined by comedian Roy Wood Jr. He's known for his role on Comedy Central's The Daily Show. Here he is roasting Trump and Biden at the dinner.
Keeping up with Trump scandals is like watching Star Wars movies. You got to watch the third one to understand the first one. Then you can't miss the second one because it's got Easter eggs for the fifth one. Donald Trump is the only politician whose scandals got spinoffs on Disney Plus. Many of you, I don't even think you should be working that hard. We should be inspired by the events in France. They rioted when the retirement age went up 2 years to 64. They rioted because they didn't want to work till 64. Meanwhile, in America, we have an 80-year-old man begging us for 4 more years of work. Begging.
And Joe Biden is sitting there laughing and clapping and thinking that it's all hilarious. 9 years ago, Joel McHale was the host, and he was questioning Biden's mental capacity even when he was vice president. 9:57 with Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Well, changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
I'm Mark Myers. I was born and raised in Greenwood, and I'm proud to call it home. I'm committed to serving our community. I was a Greenwood police officer for 14 years and still serve as a special deputy for the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. I'm Mark Myers. I'm running for re-election as your mayor, and I'm asking for your vote because I know how important safety and security are to our family. Paid for by Myers for Greenwood.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep Central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Coming up in 2 minutes, it's finally May, yet it still feels like late winter. Plus, lots of guns stolen from a firearms store in Beech Grove over the weekend. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
There is not a big reaction to a big bank deal on Wall Street. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Stocks aren't moving much. The Dow's up 58 points. The Nasdaq's gaining 2 after J.P. Morgan Chase bought most of the assets and all the deposits of First Republic from federal regulators. The FDIC took control of the third bank to fail in 2 months.
After First Republic became the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. This happened even after a group of major banks poured $30 billion in to save it. But since no rescue plan was agreed upon, federal regulators had to seize it.
Chase will be rebranding all 84 First Republic branches, and they are open today.
Treasury says the banking system remains sound and resilient, and Americans should feel confident in the safety of their deposits.
That's Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti. There's a hearing this hour in court in Arkansas involving President Biden's granddaughter. His son Hunter's trying to reduce support payments to the child he had with London Roberts in 2018.
Roberts' attorney says Hunter's request to adjust his monthly payments does not match up with the lifestyle he's living, saying, quote, for an artist living on meager means, Mr. Biden is living lavishly. This hearing could lead to further discoveries on Hunter's overseas business dealings.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. House Republicans have been investigating those, and if they involve President Biden, who insists he's had no role in Hunter's business ventures. There's an $80,000 reward in the manhunt for a Mexican national in Texas,
who they say entered a neighbor's home late Friday night in San Jacinto County, Texas, near Houston, to shoot at people after being asked to stop firing his rifle because it was disturbing a baby.
Fue cuando yo me tiré por la ventana.
That's when the suspect shot at me. He shot at me 5 times behind my house. When he didn't catch me, he returned to gun them down again and shot them on the head.
5 people were killed, all women and children.
That's Fox's Evan Brown. Hundreds of Americans who fled the fighting in Sudan arrived in Saudi Arabia today. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's May, and it's still cold. It's 44 and cloudy downtown. Some showers on radar. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Highs only in the upper 40s today throughout much of Indiana, along with rain chances throughout, says Chad Swain with the National Weather Service.
The rain will stick around into the evening hours, especially to the north. And then we can have another shot at rain, although lower coverage on Tuesday.
But he says not to be too down about it as we warm back into the mid-60s by the middle of the week. A 9-year-old boy killed when he was hit by a car in Westfield. It happened Saturday afternoon. The child hit by the car was taken to Peyton Manning Children's Hospital on the north side where he died. The driver who hit the boy stayed at the scene of the crash. A gun store robbed in Beech Grove.
My initial estimate, and it may go higher, it may go lower, but I'm going to guess around 30 handguns. Just went out the door in 40 seconds.
Beech Grove firearms owner Greg Burge on Wish TV. He says that's all it took for the thieves to bash through the front door with a stolen truck and take the guns early Sunday morning. The ATF working with local police to track them down. This one goes to show you that when an employee at the Bally's Casino in Evansville bans somebody, they mean it. Chris Davis reports.
The police did not say why Paris Gladney had been banned from the casino, but they got a call Saturday morning about 7 o'clock that he was back. They found him in a 5th floor stairwell, and they say he tried to run, and then he resisted. He had to be forced into cuffs and forced out of the casino. 14 News WFIE reports Gladney was charged with trespassing. Chris Davis, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
12 players were selected by the Indianapolis Colts in this weekend's NFL draft. One of them was wide receiver Josh Downs.
When the Colts called me, I was very grateful. First thing that came to mind is Reggie Wayne being my receiver coach.
And Wayne was a wide receiver for the Colts before becoming the Colts wide receivers coach. Downs played his college ball at North Carolina. I'm Kurt Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family heating and air.
We set out to be the very best of the best, and past couple years we've actually achieved that. For all of the state of Indiana, we've been awarded the Dealer of the Year award twice now. Unlike other brands, that only gets handed to one dealer every year, and we're very proud to have won that twice.
Put the best to work for you at FamilyHVAC.net. Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Hey, this is Spencer Thompson at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus. 15% off everything sale now through Monday, May 22nd. 15% off all Indiana-made Smith Brothers, all Berlin Gardens outdoor furniture, all Pinnacle Lazy Boy recliners and sofas, all Maven solid wood bedroom and dining furniture, and every Sealy mattress. 10 days only, now through Monday, May 22nd, only at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's spring flowers headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, May 1st. It is 5 minutes after 10. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Thank you for joining us this morning. You can also follow along on YouTube. All you have to do is type in Kendall and Casey into your YouTube search bar. So Florida took one step closer to allowing Ron DeSantis to run for president while still being governor. The Florida House passed a bill that now heads to his desk, allowing him to run for president without having to resign from his current post. Do you think he'll sign it?
Okay, so look, we're honest brokers here, and we're honest with our audience. And even when people do stuff, we still talk about it. This is, first of all, the law is stupid, was stupid to begin with. I mean, you can run, it's America. You should be able to run for whatever public office you desire to run for. And if you don't finish your term, then that's between you and the voters. But the fact that they changed this law directly for one guy, it's very clear why they changed the law.
Yeah.
That should give everybody pause, because essentially you've got them treating him like a king.
Yeah. So the law did say that you couldn't run for president or vice president unless you resigned from your current position. And now his majority House has passed this. Senate too. It's going to his desk. He's going to sign it.
So the question would be, why was there ever a law to begin with? And maybe this got vetted and asked or whatever. But it wasn't like, hey, for 40 years, we've been trying to change this law. Seems like they wanted the law for a reason. I mean, the law is pretty clear. The only reason you would have that law is we don't want people who are supposed to be governing on taxpayer time and getting taxpayer money, campaigning for president. We want you governing. That's not even a bad idea. Casey, I'm not even sure that's a bad. Now that I've talked myself out of where I started this segment, I think that might actually be a really good law, because you know me all the time. I hate the office hoppers.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a great law. Maybe they had it right and now they're getting it wrong.
So he's spending all of his time, instead of governing, traveling all over the country on his book tour.
Well, they all do it, right? Any of these office holders, Tim, Scott will be doing it.
And we'll get to him in a minute.
Not Nikki, but Joe Biden will obviously be campaigning for president as much as he's doing any presidenting, which is probably good for the country. I think I just on the air with our tens of thousands of listeners talked myself out of the initial position that I had, which is they shouldn't have changed the law because this is a good law.
So you didn't need that ring light for your camera after all. You've got a light bulb above your head.
By the way, for those of you who may have seen that the YouTube feed, my photo is a little dark sometimes. It's because, once again, despite management orders to the contrary, someone moved the light again. We know who it was. And I'm not even going to get upset about it anymore, because I guess here...
you're growing?
If you just defy edicts from management, people just say whatever, and I guess that's between management and the people on the weekends, and that's their thing. So I'm just going to let it be dark if it's dark. If it's light, it's light.
Your brilliance and brightness will shine away.
It's now out of my hands. But the point is, this is a great topic, because it should be for all these lawmakers. If you're taking taxpayer money to be an elected official, should you be able to spend most of your time in other states talking to other constituents?
Trying to get another job.
I think Florida got this wrong. I think he should have had to make a choice.
DeSantis is expected to announce his presidential campaign sometime this month. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has released an attack ad on him.
Ron DeSantis was struggling big time in his primary race for governor of Florida. Polls revealed DeSantis was failing so bad, he was losing by a staggering 17 points. Then, DeSantis was saved by the endorsement of President Trump. Trump's support was so powerful, just 2 days after the endorsement, DeSantis took a commanding lead, and it propelled him to being elected governor.
I'd like to thank our president for standing by me when it wasn't necessarily the smart thing to do.
You're welcome, Ron. Unfortunately, instead of being grateful, DeSantis is now attacking the very man who saved his career. Isn't it time DeSantis remembers how he got to where he is?
Make America great again. Big league. So good. Build the wall. Then Mr. Trump said, "You're fired." I love that part.
Truth is, there's only one person who can make America great again.
So clearly,
that's the ad.
That's the ad.
The ad is, I helped a Republican win my home state, and now F that guy because he did a really good job, and a lot of people want him to run for president.
Yes.
That's the ad?
That's the ad.
That's the best Trump could do on DeSantis?
He's insecure about it, I think.
That ad is even more pathetic than Florida changing the law for one dude to be able to run for president. That's pathetic. That's his case?
Yes.
Screw this guy because he did a really good job as governor and people want him to run for president? Well, there has to be more to it. Like, is there a second? Is there a?
No, that's the complete ad. And you heard the whole thing. And in it, it says that DeSantis is attacking Trump. Now, from what I've heard and seen, DeSantis wasn't attacking Trump.
No, he hasn't said anything bad about Trump.
Right. He said, no, I wouldn't know anything about taking money, for how to pay a porn star. But he never directly attacked Trump.
Which is a factual statement if indeed Ron DeSantis has never paid hush money to a porn star.
Right.
I wouldn't know anything about hush money payments to porn stars. That's I'll use the term gross. That is gross. That it is so, it's no different than what we talked about last week with Trump being outraged that he was not consulted before they came up with the debate schedule. Like, you are not in charge here, dude. You are just some guy who used to be president who lost his last election. That's all you are. Everybody's on the same playing field here. Now, do you start with the giant inherent advantages? Yes. But you're not better than anyone else. And the fact that he believes he's entitled to it, the fact that he believes he doesn't have to earn it, the fact that he believes he shouldn't be accountable to anybody else, that should really bother every person considering voting for him, because that's how he will govern.
Well, and he's saying that he's not going to debate. He doesn't have to. And he also says that he's going to win in 24.
I think we're going to win in 24, and I think it'll be the biggest thing ever to happen for our country, because we're going to turn it around and we're going to make America great again. We're going to put America first. I did tremendous trade deals. They've now allowed some of these trade deals to go bad. We're losing over $1 trillion now on trade. I renegotiated China, Japan, South Korea, so many with India. The level, I'd actually look at some of these deals and go, who made these deals? The people that made them. It's hard to believe just on that basis that this country would have survived.
Okay, so he's also saying that if he wins in 24, problem with Ukraine is over.
And how's he going to do that?
Well, that's the detail you're not getting. Okay, so you had mentioned Tim Scott. Do you remember the exploratory committee?
Yes.
Where he put out the video,
yes,
and it was this nice, highly produced video.
Absolutely.
I'm announcing my exploratory committee. Well, apparently they've encountered some good news, because he is now set to officially announce his run for president on May 22nd.
Oh.
So by the end of this month, we could have multiple people running under GOP.
Well, your field will basically be set by probably, again, the end of the month, because, by the way, it's going to be May. See what I did there?
I do.
I wanted to get that in.
Nice job.
It's May the 1st.
Yeah.
And did you know the election is tomorrow?
Yes, I heard that.
You'll have your field set, because if they're going to start the debates in August, everybody other than Trump is going to definitely be participating in those because of all the free publicity that comes with them. And so you've got, what is that, June, July? I mean, you got 2 months to roll. So, yeah, you're going to know whether DeSantis is getting in or not. I would think middle of May. Certainly, we think the former underachieving governor of the state of Indiana, also a former underachieving U.S. congressman from the state of Indiana, Mike Pence will be arrogant enough to think that he has a snowball's chance and of winning, and he'll be in. So you'll probably have 6 or 7 people that'll be running legitimate campaigns for president.
How does someone like Tim Scott think that he can fundraise and out-fundraise, or at least fundraise enough to have any sort of showing against DeSantis and Trump? I mean, these guys have a war chest full of cash ready to go.
Well, Tim Scott's campaign seems very much like a vice presidential audition. But to accept the premise of your question, you see, I don't think he's actually running for president to win. I think he's running to be on television and potentially be a vice president. But if I accept your premise, two things. One, South Carolina is third up on the board. It is the big prize in terms of, yes, Iowa's first and then New Hampshire, but Iowa's a caucus and then New Hampshire is a smaller state and it's not deep Republican. It's the first uber Republican primary state. And if he could win that, then you theoretically live in a world where, okay, now I'm on the same playing field as everyone else. I think Nikki Haley being in there probably hurts him a little bit. However, you could have a moment, right? On that debate stage, you know, there's a moment where you say or you do something and everybody goes, oh my gosh, that guy is right. And let's face it, most people don't know who Tim Scott is, so he can only go up from wherever he's going to start.
Yeah. I saw this clip and I just wanted to share it with everybody. It's a likely accidental moment of journalism. This is from ABC News.
Great.
They offer this report. Democrats not feeling so great about Biden running for re-election.
Democrats are divided on whether or not President Biden should be running again. You voted for Biden.
I did.
He announced this week. What was your reaction?
Regret, disappointment, frustration.
While it's very early in the race, that disappointment and frustration was expressed again and again by young voters we talked to.
But according to the White House Correspondents' dinner, everything's great, applause, cheering, laughing. We're having a great time.
Well, we got to get to a break, but isn't it? Let's hold on. Let's take a break because I'm going to tell you what you heard at the White House Correspondents' dinner and the fantasy island they live on is exactly like what happened down the street from us at the Indiana General Assembly last week, because those two things are basically the same. And there are sometimes, Casey, I don't realize how brilliant I am until something just pops in my head right before we have to go to a break.
All right, we'll come back and talk about that. It's 18 minutes after 10. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
I remember those family moments listening to the Indianapolis 500.
The magic of May.
Pool party, grill out, beers, hot dogs, listen to the race.
The traditions.
The playing of taps right before the start of the race.
The drivers.
Rick Mears.
Elio Castroneves.
Al Unser Jr.
The memories.
Everybody tailgating and having a good time.
For more than 70 years.
AJ Foyt takes the lead from Eddie Saxon.
Your home of the Indianapolis 500. 93 WIBC.
Morning, hon.
Come on. Remember what we said about personal space?
Don't forget to schedule that AC tune-up like we talked about. It smelled a little funky when we turned it on this morning.
Yep, I'm on it. I know just who to call.
Mom, he's touching my seat.
Kids, personal space.
At Mr. Quick, we know that life can be hectic, which is why we make staying cool easy. The AC pit stop for Mr. Quick is only $89, and it will keep you comfortable all summer long.
Call Mr. Quick for on time.
What you've heard about probiotics is probably wrong.
I eat yogurt, so I don't need to take a probiotic.
Probiotics? They don't really work.
It's time to learn the truth about probiotics from Align, the probiotic brand recommended by gastroenterologists 2 times more than any other probiotic brand. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel at AlignProbiotics.com.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Schedule your complete health assessment at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance.
If you don't live near a Low T Center or just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy to get started on treatments. Only your first 2 visits are in person. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas. Half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
20 minutes after 10, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Trending this morning, the Indianapolis Colts mascot, Blue. It was named the NFL Mascot of the Year. This is the third time that Blue has won the award, which is voted on by fellow mascots. Blue also won the award in 2016 and 2019.
Voted on by fellow mascots. Mm-hmm. What an honor.
Yeah. Also trending this morning, more accidental acts of journalism. This time it's coming from Chuck Todd from NBC. He talks about Biden's immigration non-policy.
Now, as Biden formally runs for a second term, the immigration issue, which he never mentioned this week in his announcement video, continues to be one of his toughest challenges. In 2021, more migrants crossed the southern border than in any year since at least 1960. And in 2022, the record was broken again.
Okay, so for this one, it's all about the writing for me. Chuck Todd says as Biden runs for re-election, immigration continues to be one of his toughest challenges. He could have said it's one of his biggest failures. He could have said it could be his greatest opportunity, but instead he chose toughest challenges.
Well, it comes back to what we talked about earlier with the Correspondents dinner, and I'll get to my brilliant point on that in just a second. But they're cheerleaders, right? I mean, there are times. The one time Biden got in really big trouble with the press was Afghanistan. And the reason he got in really big trouble there was because they couldn't hide it. People knew 13 soldiers are coming home dead. They knew billions were lost to the Taliban. They knew people were jumping off of airplanes or jumping on airplanes as they're moving. You couldn't hide it. And Biden was so callous and disinterested about that they were like, well, we've done our best, so I guess we're going to have to tell people the truth on this one. But for the most part, they're cheerleaders. And even when they do accidentally report on something, they, as you said, they say it in a way where, I guess maybe it's not so bad. It's just it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. A toughest challenge. Okay, to your point about the White House Correspondents' dinner.
So you had made a great point at the end of the last segment, which was how we had played a clip of ABC News talking to people about Biden's job performance, about how disappointed they were in him.
These were Democrats who voted for him first time who are questioning whether they're going to do that again.
And you made the point that what you were hearing in that clip, again, not Fox News or Breitbart or Newsmax, it's ABC, which is a left network, is markedly different from what you heard at the White House Correspondents' Center, the blatant just cheering for the guy. And to me, what the difference there is almost identical to the difference of what's going on in this state, where the people themselves actually are compared to the politicians. And so what I mean by that is assessments are showing up in people's mailboxes again, and the new ones are just as bad as the first ones.
You're talking about property
This
assessments.
whole bullcrap theory that Jeff Thompson and those Republicans threw out during session of, well, we don't want to make anything permanent because we think this thing will just blow over. Well, it ain't blowing over this year because I got my assessment and I saw a lot of assessments that were a heck of a lot worse than mine that showed up, and it ain't blowing over. It's just as bad as it was the last time, maybe even worse. But they're living in this world because in the State House bubble, it's donors, it's lobbyists, it's other political people, it's government people whose jobs depend on you, it's the staffers. So you're great, right? It's everyone is telling you how great you are and how wonderful you are, and oh, you're doing fabulous and blah, 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 blah. Wherein the people on the outside are going, we're getting crushed here, and you don't care at all. And so I think it's the same thing. We're in this world of the left media. Oh, Biden, green dream, tax the rich. Everybody wears a mask. COVID shots or you're fired. Illegals pouring across the border. Record high gas prices. To them, that's all fine because they are liberal Washington elitists and they can absorb the cost. Where the real person is saying, this sucks. So it is interesting how different parties, but really there are no different parties anymore. It's just the Republicans and Democrats, there's almost no difference. And it is interesting, half a country away, an almost identical thing is happening. So it is not a Republican or Democrat thing. It's a politicians versus people thing. And I hope next year, when it comes time for all these House candidates who will be up, all 100 of them will be up for re-election. Many of the senators will be up for re-election. that every single one of them gets a viable competitor.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be out for blood politically next year based on how these Republicans have time and again walked away from the citizens of the state of Indiana. If good people will run, they will win.
It's 1026 rather. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, our man. So Scott Willis, he's running to be the mayor of Westfield. And, of course, we have talked about him at length on this show, how he had a just incredibly missed opportunity. Not
with his advertising.
Yes, and we're very thankful for all the money he spent on our station.
Mm-hmm.
Casey and I are buying a yacht. That guy has run so many ads. But he's going to be with us next. We'll ask you about why he didn't go with what you're talking about, Willis, and we'll talk about some of the we'll talk about Grant Park.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about the out of control growth in Westfield. All the things that many suburban communities here in central Indiana are facing.
Yeah, and his hope, the direction of his city. That's coming up next with 93 WIBC.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword info 42 to 866-482-9559. That's info 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clear skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Give your small business one tech solution that checks all the boxes. It's all here with the Comcast Business Complete Connectivity Solution. It's cyber threat security for peace of mind. Check. The power of the largest, fastest, reliable network for small business. That's a triple box check right there. And save up to 75% a year on your wireless bill with Comcast Business Mobile. Check and cha-ching. It's everything you need to keep your business connected. From the company powered by the next generation 10G network. The complete connectivity solution. Get started for just $49 a month for 24 months when you add mobile. And ask about an $800 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 5/21/23. Restrictions apply. Requires 2-year agreement, EcoBill, and autopay. New 100 megabits per second internet and security edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares weighted average of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data. Savings vary.
The greenhouse is full of color at Sundown Gardens. There's a full array of tropicals and ferns. 186th Street and Spring Mill Road. SundownGardens.com. SundownGardens.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
Another bank bites the dust. It's 43 and cloudy downtown. Some showers on radar. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. First Republic Bank is no more. Federal regulators seized the troubled bank early this morning and sold all deposits and most of its assets to J.P. Morgan Chase. The FDIC says that First Republic held $229 billion in total assets and $104 billion in deposits. It's the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history, behind only Washington Mutual in 2008. The North Split is open, but there are still some restrictions to be mindful of, Matt Bear.
For the first time since spring of 2021, both I-70 and I-65 are fully functional in the North Split. Some of the ramps over the weekend did not make the cut with the reopening of I-65, like the Ohio Street Collector ramp that will remain closed until sometime in May. Learn more from the WIBC Traffic Center at WIBC Traffic.
I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
That's Faber's Bean Window. Trust me.
Are you thinking about your next home improvement project, but you need more than a window replacement? Whether it's siding, entry doors, or maybe a bath or shower remodel, design it before you buy it. That's right. B's using the latest in technology to create an architectural design so you can see our products on your house before you purchase. For a limited time, receive 50% off all products, plus special manufacturer rebates and 20 months no interest, no payments.
Trust me.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
The very thing that I want most is just to have and hold you close.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob Casey's here. Casey, did you know Election Day is tomorrow?
Yes, I did know that, Rob. Can you believe it?
My goal throughout this show today is to ask you that question as many times as possible.
Okay.
And one of the big elections going on in central Indiana is to be the next mayor of Westfield. And joining us now, one of the candidates to be the next mayor of Westfield on the Republican side, Scott Willis. Scott, how are you?
Great. How are you guys this morning?
Well, okay, we're doing great.
Well, apparently I look tired. Scott walks in the studio and goes, you doing okay? You look tired, which is what every woman loves hearing first thing in the morning.
It was a bold campaign move, Scott. We're very excited.
It's okay. I can't vote in Westfield.
Yeah. That's right. Whatever. You're not a voter. We don't care.
Now, Scott, you may have heard, April may have told you, Hammer and I are very disappointed, and we're very thankful for all the money you've given the radio station via ads. But we're very disappointed you did not start your ad by saying what you're talking about Willis. Do you regret, in hindsight, not running your ad starting with what you're talking about Willis?
My phone exploded when you guys started talking about that. And the funny thing is, as we did a bunch of coffee chats leading up to election season, I think we did over 80 of them, and we were, knocking around some names on what we wanted to call these coffee chats, and what you talking about Willis was one of the things we actually discussed.
Missed opportunity.
Well, now April has said if you're victorious in the fall, there will potentially be a what you talking about Willis ad that airs here on WIBC. So we're excited for that.
Well, I'm hoping I don't have an opponent in the fall and I don't have to worry about it, but we'll keep that in mind.
Well, so let's talk about running to be the mayor of Westfield. There's 3 people running. What is the issue when obviously when we talk with people in Indianapolis, hey, it's crime is the primary driver. What is the issue in the city of Westfield that people want to talk about?
It's growth. Mm-hmm. What do we want to be, 20 years from now here in Westfield? We've seen a sprawl of residential development. We really lack a commercial tax base in Westfield. I think 90% of our revenue comes from residential homes and apartments, and that's not sustainable. And that's one reason why we're struggling, I think, to keep up with infrastructure. We're behind on public safety. Our taxes are highest in Hamilton County, quite frankly, among the 4 cities. So we've got to really work on that, and I think it really resonates with residents. They see it firsthand.
We were talking with one of your opponents, and she said she has a marketing background, and that will help her with the growth and the businesses and the zoning. What about you?
Well, my background's very different. I'm the only candidate running with a business background. I've started up a couple of small businesses here in Hamilton County. The other thing that makes me different is I'm the only candidate that has managed people, assets, and budgets similar in size to the city of Westfield. In fact, I'm the only candidate that's managed a budget. Here in Westfield, we have a $90 million budget, and handing the reins over to someone who's never managed one of those is kind of a huge step. And that's what I've been stressing with residents is experience matters. And I bring the necessary background from my time in the Marine Corps to running small businesses that allows me to hit the ground running day one.
Scott Willis, our guest, he is running to be the mayor of Westfield. Republican side voting, of course, tomorrow, I guess it ends tomorrow. How is that? How have you handled that? Because early voting's a thing, but it's a little different in municipal elections. Have you tried to get people to the polls quickly, or are you just putting on your flyers, hey, vote May the 2nd?
We've done both. We realize, especially in Westfield, it's a very Republican city. people want to vote on May 2nd. In fact, I'm voting on May 2nd. But we have, as we've knocked on doors, when people have said, hey, you've got my vote, I have encouraged them to show up and vote early and just get it over with, because you just never know.
People don't realize how much work goes into Election Day, and there's all sorts of strategies on Election Day because you're convinced it could be a 3-vote race. You're trying to find the 3 votes. For example, Casey, did you know when I ran, the person who I was running against put their sign so far out that I could have my poll worker sit in front of the sign and nobody could see the guy's sign. It's all different strategies, Casey. And,
all fair, huh?
And so as a result, you can do creative things. What is the plan like for you guys on Election Day? Because people don't realize how hard it is to get things like poll workers. I mean, it's a huge operation, even in a city like Westfield.
It is. And not only do you have to get your poll workers, but there are 8 other races going on, and those candidates have their support network, and sometimes those intersect. And then, of course, you got working the polling stations. Precinct committeemen are out there trying to find workers themselves. So it's a real stretch to get people who want to show up, say, from a 9 to 11 o'clock shift to sit at a polling station.
I want to talk about what I think is Westfield's biggest assets. As someone who was involved with sports for many, many years, I spent a lot of time traveling from South Bend down to Grand Park. However, when I would come down for any tournament, we didn't actually stay in Westfield. We stayed in Carmel or any place else surrounding Westfield. What is your plan for Grand Park?
Yeah, so first off, the park is not up for sale. The city has been going through a process, and we're down to 4 bids, and I believe the bids are to either lease the park or manage a portion of the park. I've not seen any of those bids, so I can't comment on what that's going to look like, but we have got to find a way to capture Grand Park revenue, because the park in itself is not making the city any money. It's certainly making Carmel a lot of money, and we've got to find a way. So there are 5 million visitors that come into Grand Park every year. 4 million of those are coming from outside the local area. So they need hotel, they need restaurants, they need things to do. Right now, Westfield ranks 4th in the state of Indiana for capturing Grand Park visitor dollars. Carmel's 1, Fisher's 2, Kokomo, Indiana is 3, and Westfield is 4. So my vision is, let's create a village-type concept with hotels and restaurants and shops and things to do, so that when they leave the fields, they have a place close to the park that they can gravitate towards and spend their evening and spend their dollars. And that's not something we have right now. We desperately need it.
Scott Willis is our guest. He's running to be the mayor of Westfield on the Republican side. Now, Scott is someone who was in politics. It seemed like a horrific existence. It was a horrific existence, and I couldn't wait to get the hell out of politics. And you, however, have subjected yourself to this for many years now as a member of the city council. Now you want to be the mayor. Why do you have a death wish? Why do you want to do this to yourself?
I see that. I've lived in Westfield for 20 years, and I've kind of seen the growth happen. And at times it's been a real head scratcher for me in terms of, why are we growing this way? What about this? Why do we not have that? I mean, in my little corner of the city, there are 4 tire shops. 4 within a quarter of a mile of each other. I don't think we need that many tire shops in Westfield. So for me, it was more of, I thought I brought a vision, a background of years of experience, both in corporate America and in the military, that I just felt like I could get our city to the next level. And that's why I'm running. I love to serve. I love to serve my community. And I'm just excited about the potential of where Westfield can go as a community.
You know, one of the things I hope you'll do, Scott, because that guy who's the mayor now is a real jerk. Cook, is that his name? Is that the guy's name?
Yes.
Yeah, he got up at your fall dinner last year and started ripping on libertarians or libertarian thinkers at the Hamilton County fall dinner last year. So I'm curious, like, kind of how are your politics? If you were to describe yourself, what do you fit in a box? You know, kind of where do you lean? How will you govern?
Yeah, I'm a Republican. I was born and raised Republican. I grew up in a Republican family. I had members of my family that ran and held office. So I'm certainly a Republican, conservative Republican. But the one thing I love about municipal government is it doesn't have to be political. Certainly the way I will lead is from a Republican slant, but it's about serving your community. It's about improving roads and economic development. There's so many other things you can do that doesn't have to divide your community. And so that's why I'm excited about the potential of being mayor of Westfield.
couple minutes here with Scott Willis left before we let you go. He's running for the mayor of Westfield. By the way, do you have a website? Do you have a Facebook page? If people are wowed with your charm and charisma they've heard here today.
Willis for Westfield for both the website and for Facebook.
You know, one of the things people are really concerned about right now, and we're getting nothing from the General Assembly, is property taxes. And obviously, Westfield, I believe you guys have a school referendum that's tied in there as well. What can mayors do? How can mayors lead on this issue of property taxes? Because we're getting nothing from our state officials.
Yeah, so Westfield has two referendums. We have a construction and we have an operating referendum. For every business that comes into Westfield, even if you give them an abatement of some sort, they still have to pay the referendum. So every new business that comes in, every dollar collected from property tax from a business is paying down the referendum. So, and our schools have shown the willingness as assessed values go up or businesses come in, the rate drops. So my strategy and what I've been telling people from day one is we can impact your taxes just simply by luring in good quality businesses to our community that pay into those operating and construction referendums.
What is the construction referendum?
I think ours is 0.32 cents, if I'm not mistaken. It's because of all the growth we've had in Westfield. It's for new buildings, expanding existing buildings. We've got a tremendous amount of construction going on in our schools right now.
All right, Scott, we appreciate it. Good luck. What are you going to do tomorrow after the votes are cast? You going to like build a fort under your bed, or are you going to just go? Are you just going to be seen wandering down 32? What is your plan after the votes have been cast?
Well, first off, the cell phone gets turned off tonight at about 10 o'clock p.m., and it won't come back on until Thursday. And I've got a honey to-do list that's been growing for about 2 years that I'll be working on. So yard work, planting flowers. I've got lots of things to do.
All right, and again, if people want to know more about you or your campaign, how can they do that?
WillisForWestfield.com or join us on Facebook, Willis for Westfield.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock today. We will recap a crazy weekend in Indy, biggest stories of the day, and Monday Gun Day with Guy Relford. 93 WIBC.
He's a former coach with 2 sons who played professional basketball. Satch Sullinger's a competitive individual, but his golf game was suffering because of painful joints.
Right. That's real important. The golf game. Right. As we get older, we create these bad habits because we're relegated to hit a certain way.
QC Kinetics used regenerative treatments, all natural healing properties from Satch's own body, to restore those damaged joints and get his golf game back on track.
QC Kinetics regenerative medicine is regenerating me, all natural. And that's what I'm about. I'm going to tell everybody why I'm better.
Oh, and by the way, looks like the competitive Satch is back.
We're all in the same boat, and I'm getting better, and I'm watching them stay old.
Go to QCkinetics.com. Get relief and your game back. Call for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
Pat Sullivan here. April showers can bring plumbing downers. Don't get caught in a leak this spring. Make sure your sump pump is working properly to avoid any damage. A sump pump is vital to protecting your home from heavy rains. During the month of April, my friends at Hope Plumbing will buy back your old sump pump for $300 with the purchase of an upgraded sump pump and a new battery backup system. Call Hope Plumbing today or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com.
Express your love for mom with great deals from Family Dollar. Start your day with fresh coffee prepared with K-Cups from Green Mountain, Mick Cafe, or Donut Shop for only $6.95. Surprise her with something special like comfortable sleepwear from $8 to $10, casual dresses starting at $7, or gift cards and scented candles starting at only $5. Then wrap it all up with assorted gift bags and handmade cards for just $1.25. Family Dollar, helping you do more.
Wealth-changing question. Has your advisor created a portfolio based only on your age and risk tolerance? That's simply not good enough. Your money deserves better, and so do you. At Creative Planning, our private wealth managers learn about you first, and then they create a customized plan and portfolio by partnering with our in-house money managers, accountants, and attorneys. Don't settle for a standard portfolio. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTRCM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Come into Bell Tire today. You'll get the lowest tire price, period. Like up to $150 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires. You'll also get a guy who will give you free lifetime flat repairs, tire rotations, and alignment checks. Get up to $150 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires, plus more free services and more out of your tires and more for your money. It's how we make the lowest tire price feel even lower at Bell Tire. See store and belltire.com for details and offer expiration.
1046, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And, you know, I'm pretty good at reading a room. And I can tell you're pretty impressed by the show so far. And guess what? It's just getting better because Hammer joins us now in the studio.
Phenomenal interview with, what's his name?
What you talking about, Willis?
Thank you. Again, totally missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I know that our friend runs his campaign and he sounds like a great guy, but think about all you could do with the tagline of what you talking about, Willis.
He could be about to be the nation's mayor right now.
Right. Because here's how the commercial sounds. You have like the voiceover guy, or maybe you even use the clip of Gary Coleman. What you talking about, Willis? I'm talking about safer schools. I'm talking about getting CRT out of the classroom and having resource officers in the hallway. What am I talking about? I'm talking about making Westfield a better place for your kids to live in. Not only great for today, but a better tomorrow. And supporting the police, not defunding. That's what I'm talking about. It takes different strokes and different folks to make Westfield a better place. And that's what we're going to talk about together. And I'm Scott Willis.
And I think that's why our show does so well is we were willing to shame the guy right out of the box.
And I made that up totally on the fly right there. Imagine if you paid me what I could do.
Yeah, I mean, and I think probably he's going to win, but do you want to just barely win, or do you want to walk in winning 80% of the vote and say, I am now the nation's mayor?
I got it.
So help me God, if they lie and there's not what you're talking about, Willis campaign after the primary and for the general, I'll run a negative campaign against them. I will run a hit piece. I will put a super PAC together. This message brought to you by the What You Talking About Willis Super PAC of Jason Hammer and Rob Kendall.
He did walk in this morning and said I look tired, which, you know, you don't tell a woman that first
Good
thing on a
Lord,
Monday.
is it Joe Biden? Look, fat, here's the deal. Like, you're reaching out to potential voters maybe one day. I know you don't live there, but you might one day.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, okay, whatever. I can't vote for it one way or the other.
Crossing Westfield off the places that you might be moving to.
Right. But I thought, piece of advice for him. You're about to do an interview on a broadcast that reaches, you know, from Illinois to Ohio. I'm one of the people interviewing you. You might not want to start off on a negative tone. Yeah, exactly. Hey, cow, you look old today. You look tired.
Rob, how's your fake hair doing,
all
loser?
Right.
What time's that fat guy get in here?
Maybe not the best way to start. He redeemed himself, though. He did okay. Because he played along with the What You Talking About Willis.
Like, the thing is, even if he would have said all that, if he ever were to run against Joe Hogsett for some reason, he'd have my vote still.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have Abdul on next hour. And look, I got to say, whoever wins, whether it's Abdul or Shreve, and there's another guy, Jackson, running, look, they got to win. I don't care who it is. You got to win.
I don't care if it's a ham sandwich. The ham sandwich would at least be available during riots when they break out here in this city.
And look, in that mayor's race on the Republican side, and there'll be like 9 people that'll be voting. But I think the choice has got to come down to, what do you think has the better opportunity to beat Joe Hogsett in the fall? Is it Jefferson Shreve's infinite money, or is it Abdul's personality and name ID reputation? I mean, I think that's how you got to make the choice. Who is the better person to take on Joe Hogsett in the fall? Because that's how you got to vote, because you got to get rid of this guy.
Right. And it's interesting because Shreve has the money to compete, but is the diehard Joe Hogsett Democrat voter on the east side of town and these black communities going to look at the millionaire white guy and go, well, screw you?
Yeah.
Or are they going to look at Abdul and go, you're kind of the establishment guy. You know, you brag about going to Nikki Blaine's and all your expensive cigars. I don't know. I have no idea.
I will tell you, Abdul, lost a lot of votes when he posted that photo with Holcomb. That was not a good idea.
No.
And so it'll.
But the thing is that those are like Abdul's buddies.
Well, right, and to Abdul's credit, he'll always be who he is. He's never going to lie to you. He's never going to whatever. But it's like, maybe we just would have kept that one on the mantle or something.
He's not going to sit here and say, I don't like Holcomb. I don't like the establishment, because he is. That's who he is, and he's truthful. I'll give him that.
He is truthful, and before he even announced he was running, I asked him if he was going to go back and scrub his social media, and he said no. Because it's out there. I'll stand by everything that I've ever put out there in the past, so I'm not going to run from it.
You saw something yesterday, and you thought it would be a good group participation exercise.
So one of my favorite Twitter feeds is Super 70 Sports. Love the Super 70 Sports account. And they had a picture on there of Buttermaker, the coach of the Bad News Bears, Walter Matthau, the original Bad News Bears. And the question was, name a great fictional coach.
Oh, yeah.
So I started thinking about this. I was going down a rabbit hole. You like to do Mount Rushmore.
Yes, we love the Mount Rushmore.
This is my personal Mount Rushmore of fictional coaches. Okay? Now, there's a lot of names that I left off here, but these are mine. Norman Dale, head coach of the Hickory Huskers.
That's your 1A, right?
Yes. Lou Brown, Cleveland Indians manager in Major League.
Won the World Series.
Getting that team, well, he didn't win the World Series that year. Remember, Major League 2, we learned they lost to the White Sox.
Made it to the World Series.
Took that, ALCS.
Oh, yes, that's right.
But took that group and made them winners. Won the division against the Yankees. Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, he's on my list, too.
Mr. Miyagi of the Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Taking this spoiled, rotten kid from New Jersey to victory is impressive. Now, I will maintain that the real bully in that movie is Ralph Macchio, and Johnny Lawrence is the real Karate Kid, but we can have that debate at another time.
Say that, yes.
And lastly, this one was really tough, but I'm going with Patches O'Houlihan of Dodgeball.
Interesting.
To take that group and to beat the Big Jim ran by Ben Stiller, that's impressive. And he had the strategy: duck, dodge, and duck.
What was it? What was it? Globo Jim? Wasn't that the name of?
We're better than you, and we know it.
Okay, so I feel there is one that stood out to me that you left out, and I think a lot of this comes down to really, when were you watching TV? When were you going to the movies? And what kind of movies were you going to?
Okay.
I was a kid in the 90s, and to me, one of the great movies for kids, and it became so popular that they formed a sports team after the movie, is The Mighty Ducks. And so you got to go with Gordon Bombay, played by Emilio Estevez.
The Flying V.
The Flying V, because he did it not once but twice as the coach of the Ducks, and then Team USA in the Junior Olympics. That's pretty hard, but I've got some early 90s bias in there. I understand.
Casey, where are we at?
Okay, no, I'm with you on Mr. Miyagi for different reasons. As an 80s kid, and of course, I did have pictures of Ralph Macchio from Teen Beat magazine hanging in my locker. So,
Unpopular take, baby. He was better in My Cousin Vinny. Ralph Macchio.
So I do like the wax on, wax off.
But I bet you do, Trebek.
But I'm going to add one. And all I have to say is one line, and you guys know who it is. There's no crying in baseball.
Jimmy Dugan.
There you go. From
Jimmy
League of Their
Dugan.
Own. Yeah.
My problem with Dugan was
that he was drunk. You have a problem with that?
I encourage that. He mailed it in at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, at least the other coaches, they were trying at the beginning. Jimmy Dugan didn't want to be there.
He didn't care until they started getting good.
Right. So to me, that's kind of Belichick-like. Everybody talks about how this genius Bill Belichick is. Well, he had Tom Brady for 15 years.
And now he stinks.
He wasn't a genius when he coached the Browns.
Yeah, and the other thing with Dugan is he's based on a real guy. So do we even include him in this? Was it Hank Greenberg?
Based on a real guy, though. So it wasn't like the actual name of the real guy.
Yeah, no. It was a Hank Green. There was some famous baseball player who was the actual coach, and that's who Jimmy Dugan was supposed to be.
Honorable mention for me. Now, I've never seen Ted Lasso. I know everybody loves Ted Lasso. I've never seen one episode, so it didn't make my list. We got to put Shooter on there because I think really without Shooter, that team doesn't make it to the finals.
That's how I've done every council meeting I've ever been to that I speak at is I imitate Hoosier from Shooters. Get that bozo with the glasses.
Stumbling drunk out there. Hey! Hayden Fox from the show Coach.
Yes!
Craig T. Nelson.
Yes!
And last but not least, Chubbs Peterson from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
Turning a hockey player into a PGA legend. I love Chubbs Peterson.
You're totally right on Hayden Fox. That is, to me, one of the 5 greatest sitcoms of all time. The Luther Van Dam character, played by Jerry Van Dyke. Absolutely outstanding.
And Dauber, who probably is best known for being the voice of Patrick on SpongeBob SquarePants, he was the other assistant coach.
The bumbling buffoon athletic director that knows nothing about sports. Oh, what a great show. It's coming up this afternoon.
Monday Gun Day. Guy Relford will join us. We got the biggest stories today, and we'll have a good time.
Thank you, Hammer. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Might as well jump.
Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. Who are they? Well, they're a sister company of Rhino Shield, and Premier Deck Coating is the product you need if you're tired of applying the same old stain and paint every couple of years to your deck. It's Terry, Stacy, and David and I have a deck that's probably 25 years old. The countless hours and the money that we spend on maintaining that deck never ends. And then we heard about Premier Deck Coating, family-owned, based right here in Indy, and they are going to completely transform our deck with their special formulated product, which repels moisture, scratch-resistant in virtually any color that we want, and backed by a 10-year guarantee. No more spending time staining or painting every year. Premier Deck Coating will keep our deck looking great for years to come. Premier Deck Coating can also do fences and pergolas, too. For a free quote, call 317-696-4071 or visit premierdeckcoating.com.
A well-maintained garage is the key to a safe, organized home. Hey, good morning. It's Casey. But without proper protection, the floor of your garage can quickly become worn and unraveled over time due to wear and tear, spills, and other environmental factors. Well, that's why Galaxy Concrete Coatings is here to help. Call them in Fishers at 317-751-9070 for indoor and outdoor concrete. For your driveway, pool deck coating, patio, your garage, it's UV and yellow resistant and less hotter than regular concrete. Call them today or find them online, galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
I'm Mark Myers. I was born and raised in Greenwood, and I'm proud to call it home. I'm committed to serving our community. I was a Greenwood police officer for 14 years and still serve as a special deputy for the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. I'm Mark Myers. I'm running for re-election as your mayor, and I'm asking for your vote because I know how important safety and security are to our family. Paid for by Myers for Greenwood.
I'm attorney Darryl Isaacs, the Hammer. If a car accident has left you with a concussion or memory loss, you could be suffering from a traumatic brain injury. Just click to get help quick, so we can help you get the medical attention you deserve. Go to WeWin.com. That's WeWin.com.
Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $149 and a free hallway cleaning too with Zero Res. That'll be a real spring cleaning at 388-5141 and online at ZeroResIndy.com.
We have the best technicians in the business here at Family. They'll take care of you every time. 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shade. DrexelIN.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes, the break-in at a gun store in Beech Grove and the play-by-play from the owner. Plus, one of your members of Congress is still urging the president to play ball on the debt ceiling, and it's finally open. I'm Kurt Darling. All that and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis.
Hunter Biden is in court.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden's son is in the middle of a child support dispute, trying to reduce payments to
London Roberts. She says she shares a 4-year-old daughter with Hunter and needs more help with child support.
Fox's David Spund outside the court in Batesville, Arkansas.
What sets this story above just a child support dispute is that we may find out more about Hunter's finances. Remember, as we've said, he's been under federal investigation since at least 2018. Federal prosecutors in Delaware looking into his overseas business dealings and tax affairs. And what happens today may give us a glimpse into that investigation.
In New York City, former President Trump's lawyer Joe Tacopina is asking the judge to declare a mistrial in a civil case. Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more.
The former president is being sued by former columnist E. Jean Carroll, who testified last week that he raped her in the dressing room of a Manhattan department store in the mid-90s. In the mistrial request, Tacopina said the judge shut down his questioning when he pushed Carroll to explain why she didn't scream or tell police about the alleged incident.
Carroll also claims Trump defamed her, denying her rape accusation. There's a murder scene being investigated in California. 4 people are dead after a shooting late last night in a small community in the Mojave Desert north of L.A. As police across Texas offering an $80,000 reward, search for a Mexican national in the U.S. illegally, accused of killing 5 of his neighbors in Cleveland, Texas.
Police say the gunman had a prior history of firing shotguns in his front yard, but things escalated quickly Friday evening when the man was asked to keep the noise down. Witnesses say that's when he returned to the house and opened fire on the group of neighbors and their friends.
Fox's Casey Stegall. First Republic Bank is no more. J.P. Morgan Chase bought most of its assets and all the deposits and is opening all the locations under the Chase brand. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How many guns? It's cloudy and 44 downtown, some spotty showers. I'm Kurt Darling for Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Nearly 3 dozen guns stolen from a firearms store in Beech Grove in Marion County.
They back out. These 3 misguided citizens of Indianapolis will head straight for these 2 handgun cases.
Greg Burge, owner of Beech Grove Firearms, talking through the surveillance footage on Wish TV. He says 3 perps used an SUV to bust through the front of the building, get in and take what they could, and they were gone within 40 seconds. The ATF now working with local police to find the thieves. A teenage boy is dead and a person arrested in Edinburgh. The boy was shot Sunday morning and taken to the hospital, but he did not survive his injuries. Pedro Castillo-Salaran was arrested and is charged with reckless homicide. Congress could default on the government's debts if the House, run by Republicans, can't get the Senate, run by Democrats, to pass at least part of their plan. Indiana Congressman Rudy Yakum.
What usually happens is we wait until we hit the debt ceiling the day of, and then there's a massive negotiation at the last minute. The whole country's on edge. Instead of taking that approach, we've passed a debt ceiling package 75 to 90 days early.
He tells Wish TV's All Indiana Politics that he believes they now have room to negotiate. One of Indiana's busiest interchanges has reopened, that being the North Split here in Marion County, Matt Baer.
Both interstates, I-65 and I-70, now fully functional in Indiana's second most traveled interchange, the North Split, which had been closed since the spring of 2021. Northbound I-65 opened up on Saturday, and southbound 65 opened up early this morning, giving us both directions to travel once again in the North Split. Learn more from the WIBC Traffic Center at WIBC Traffic.
Gas is the cheapest it's been in the last 3 weeks. You're paying an average of $3.52 across the state today, says Gas Buddy. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Tamer and Nigel for Window Nation. Everyone loves a smart investment, and there is no better place to put your money right now than in your home. Window Nation has the perfect offer for anyone with a home at least 20 years old. Protect and increase the value of your home and energy efficiency by installing new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is making it insanely easy to do so with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, Window Nation will give you 2 windows free with every 2 you purchase.
Go with the window company that has installed nearly 2 2 million windows, including mine, by installers with over a decade of experience using only top-of-the-line installation materials, which is why 96% of all installations require no follow-up service. Call Window Nation today and lock in these limited time savings when you need them the most. 866-90-NATION and pay 0 interest for 5 years. The life of your loan, and get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com. Tell them Hammer and Nigel sent you.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Sundown Gardens, Hamilton County's spring flowers headquarters.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
The idea that because some guy down the street from you sold his home, you should have to pay more taxes is wholly ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant scam.
And Casey Daniels.
Sounds like the Indiana Republican Party needs to work on their P&L statements. Taking this much, you spend this much.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, May 1st. It is 6 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. His name is Rob Kendall. My name is Casey Daniels, and we're glad that you're joining us this morning. So Hunter Biden, he's due in court today. It's a contempt hearing surrounding his daughter, Navy Biden. You know, the grandchild that Joe Biden won't recognize.
This is with the stripper.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what her name is, but
London Roberts.
London Roberts. Yes, I was going to say Biden, but I was like, I know her last name is not Biden, as they were not married. So he had this baby out of wedlock with this woman, and completely denied that it was his kid. Took a paternity test. Only was proved, yes, you are a la Maury Povich, the father, and now is paying or has paid, or they had some sort of child support agreement. Now, what the horrific part of this is, though, is that Joe Biden has completely disowned this kid. Just the other day, reeled off in intricate detail his 6 grandchildren. Well, he has 7 because of this kid, and doesn't mention, talks all about these grandkids, where they are, what they do, how old they are, and just completely bypasses this kid that there is no doubt. I mean, it's not like rumored to be Hunter Biden's kid. It is totally 100%, absolutely, trust the science, Hunter Biden's kid, which means it is Joe Biden's grandkid, and he took a giant middle finger and stuck it right in that little kid's face. That was awful. I felt so bad for that kid to have a grandparent completely disown you.
Okay, so there is actually some controversy surrounding her using the name Biden, because the Biden family does not want her to use the name Biden, because they say it's going to rob her of a peaceful existence.
Oh, yes. Yeah, right. So, so they do. Can you imagine? It's your kid. Again, there's no doubt. There's no question. It's your kid. And you not wanting that kid to have your name, that kid to go through life saying, this is, where I'm from. This is who my parents are. I cannot imagine the trauma they are causing this child, that on a daily basis you have. It's one thing to have your dad do everything he can to avoid some sort of ownership from you, but also your grandfather.
Who's the president.
Who is the president of the United States?
Yeah. And she's 4 years old, I believe, going to be starting kindergarten soon. So that'll get awkward. The mother is accusing Hunter Biden of concealing his financial situation. So this goes back to child support payments. And she's saying, okay, now wait a second. You can have a place in California. You can have a place in D.C. You can have all these big shot lawyers. But yet your financial state is so poor that you can't pay child support.
Yeah. And again, even if you can't, and now again, there's the legal, what do you have to? But then there's also the thing, Casey. Should.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't do it because you have to. You should do it because that is your kid, and you made a consenting decision to have an intimate relationship with that woman, of which you knew could produce a child. He was capable of producing a child and did produce a child, and that is your kid. What a horrific family to be the face of America.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you above all, not you, Casey, but we as a collective society should demand a family in the Oval Office that strongly defends and supports the nuclear family, because time and again it is proven that that is the better way to a better life for young kids, is to have a strong nuclear family. Now, look, there are many, many people out there who are single parents beyond their control and do a phenomenal job raising their children. And that it is in no way what I'm saying an indictment on them. God bless you. Thank you for your efforts, etc. But it is just fact that when a mom and a dad, even if they are not married or capable of being married, if they have reached, an impasse in their relationship, that are intricately involved in the intricacies of their child's life, that child is going to be more successful. Kids need a mother and a father, even if they can't be in a relationship, which is preferred and better for them. They need them involved in their lives.
Well, this kid is going to grow up. Her dad doesn't want to pay for her. Her grandfather doesn't want to acknowledge her. They don't want her to take their last name. They want nothing to do with this child. What did she do? What did the child do that was so egregious and offensive to be treated that way? Nothing. What could she have done? She's 4. Innocent.
This child will likely not have any sort of male role model, any meaningful sort of male role model in her life. And when you think about what her mother did, I don't know if she still does, maybe she got out of it, what her mother did for a living, that is also, and I say this as someone who had multiple friends who were in that business over the years. So again, it's in no way an indictment of those people who are trying to feed their family, but that is also not a good view of how men should view women. And you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That there is no stability of how men should interact with women that this child will grow up as. And how are they supposed to learn that then? Where are they supposed to learn that? And it's not like, in this case, I was going to say it's not like my dad is a criminal. Your dad is a criminal. But it's not like your dad is some, street, some street runner who never had a shot in life. Your dad has had everything handed to him to be successful. Your dad is a loser because he chose to be a loser. And despite all that opportunity, this kid is going to be denied that because her dad can't get it together, and her grandfather won't make her dad get it together.
Okay, so GOP Senator Ron Johnson, he was discussing the investigation into the Biden family business dealings, and he says that the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, lied under oath in regards to his contact with Hunter Biden. And then Ron Johnson goes out and calls Hunter and Blinken and other men surrounding the president as made men, which to me sounds very much like mafia style.
Anthony Blinken finally did come in and sit down for a voluntary transcribed interview in December of 2020 because he wanted to be Secretary of State. And now because of more information that's come out, we know that he lied bold-faced to Congress about never emailing Hunter Biden. My guess is he told a bunch of other lies that hopefully we'll be able to bring him and his wife back in, tell them to preserve their records. You cannot trust Joe Biden. You cannot trust Hunter Biden. You can't trust the Biden family. You can't trust so many of the people that they have surrounded themselves with. These made men. I basically agree with that statement.
So this is something that little Navy Biden will learn as she grows up. But if Joe Biden is compromised by deals with foreign adversaries and they're impacting his decision making, isn't that a threat to national security?
It's just unbelievable that this is our first family, Casey, that this is the face of this country, and the face of this country is a father and a grandfather who know someone is their child and grandchild respectively and are totally denouncing that. Well, they're not even denouncing them. They're denying them. They're denying their existence. This is why abortion is so prevalent in this country, because you have the leader of our nation denying the human existence of a child, a living, breathing, functioning human that is his. And when the leader of our country, the grandfather, who even if your loser kid can't get it together, you would think you would have a vested interest in getting it together, deny the importance and the validity of human life, then what else is the rest of our society supposed to think?
It is 14 minutes after 11. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. And I want to get to this story because it was Heartbreaking yet inspiring at the same time. And I don't know if you saw any of it, but Michael J. Fox, he sat down, he had an interview with Jane Pauley. And in the interview, he says that Parkinson's disease is getting tougher every day.
My life is set up so I can pack Parkinson's along with me if I have to.
You've not squandered any of your capacity. But at some point, Parkinson's going to make the call for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's banging on the door. Yeah, I mean, I won't lie, it's getting harder. It's getting harder. It's getting tougher. Every day gets tougher. But that's the way it is. I mean, who do I see about that?
Who do I see about that?
Yeah, and Michael J. Fox obviously was a beloved figure. Obviously, is Alex P. Keaton and then Marty McFly, and on top of being a famous movie star and television star, he's a human being. Seems like a very good guy, and you hate to see that. I recently had a friend who was diagnosed with Parkinson's, very early stages, and is still doing well. But she's right. That's got to be just a terrible, awful abyss to look into and realize that no matter what I do, I eventually won't win, which I think it goes back to the importance of having a very strong faith and an existence rooted in faith, because I think that really helps at times like this, knowing there is something bigger, much bigger than your life here on this earth and whatever existence and form that and shape that takes.
He talks about all the trials that his body has gone through due to Parkinson's disease, and then he went on to say that he's not going to make it to the age of 80.
I had spinal surgery. I had a tumor in my spine, and it was benign, but it messed up my walking. And then started to break stuff. Broke this arm, I broke this arm, I broke this elbow, I broke my face, I broke my hand.
Falling on things.
Falling, which is a big killer with Parkinson's. It's falling and aspirating food and pneumonia, all these subtle ways that get you. You don't die from Parkinson's, you die with Parkinson's. So I've been thinking about the mortality of it. I'm not going to be 80. I'm not going to be 80.
So Parkinson's disease, a neurodegenerative disorder, and he says that he thinks that he was probably exposed to some sort of chemical. And he says that genetics loads the gun and then environment pulls the trigger, as he tried to figure out how this happened to him. But at the end of the interview, he had a really inspiring message, and that is, with gratitude, optimism is sustainable.
I recognize how hard this is for people, and I recognize how hard it is for me. But I have a certain set of skills that allow me to deal with this stuff. And then I realized, with gratitude, optimism is sustainable. If you can find something to be grateful for, then you find something to look forward to, and you carry on.
So what is interesting about Michael J. Fox is that he, in the late 90s, came out with his Parkinson's. I think he had symptoms years before he came out with his public diagnosis. But even at the bare minimum, if you accept his public diagnosis, he has lived, he's been able to live for 25 plus years. So hopefully that will provide some sort of hope to people to say, look, if you have this, he's lived, well, obviously he's gone through some horrific things. He has lived a life. He is still capable of doing television interviews, not obviously near to the level he once was, but he has lived, and he's in his 60s now. So hopefully this is one of those things that modern medicine and science and research will be able to continue to push us, if not a cure, towards a more productive life for people who are impacted by it.
Yeah. Coming up next, we're going to speak with Abdul.
Yeah, he's running for the mayor of Indianapolis. Obviously, election tomorrow. Did you know the election is tomorrow, Casey?
I've heard that. And we've been talking to mayor. We talked to the mayor, potential mayor of Carmel, potential mayor of Westfield, and up next, a potential mayor of Indianapolis. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
We've all been through a tornado drill.
First, you duck, and then you cover.
So let's do another as we enter severe weather season.
Tornado warning in effect.
Sirens were sounded.
The sirens will sound, and so will your severe weather station.
Closures with debris in your way.
Baseball-sized hail already.
We'll let you know when to
duck and cover fast wherever you are.
With watches, warnings, and everything you need to know.
15,000 people without power.
93 WIBC.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
Those stomach issues ruined your birthday.
You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa.
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Are your investments going nowhere? Here's a tip that always pays big dividends. Invest in yourself, your talent, your smarts, your skills. Maybe it's time to make that investment and start a career in IT or upskill to boost your current career. At My Computer Career, you can bank on us. We'll help you get the right skills and the right certifications to start or advance your IT career. IT keeps growing, so go with the growth at My Computer Career. The right training, the right timing, the right career. Invest in you at mycomputercareer.edu. Start now.
Hi, Daddy. Are you almost home?
Very soon, honey. Just running a couple errands.
Daddy, question. Can we have donuts for dinner?
No. Put your mom on, please.
It's Daddy.
Don't worry. We're not having donuts for dinner.
Oh, hey, just a heads up that Mr. Quick will be there in the morning to check the air conditioner.
Perfect. That'll be all done before my family visits this weekend.
Schedule Mr. Quick's AC pit stop for only $89 and get a smooth running system all summer.
Call Mr. Quick for on time.
Fellas, need an annual health exam for work or just want to start the year prioritizing your health? We recommend Low T Center to get your complete health assessment. They check all your levels, not just your testosterone.
It's typically covered by most health insurance, and if you don't have insurance, it's less than $100 for full labs and an office visit with the provider. Low T Center specializes in men's health, making it quick and easy. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Garage door problems? Call today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been solving garage door problems for 33 years. Call today for service today. 875-4577. Garage Doors of Indianapolis services all makes of garage doors 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call today for service today. Get it fixed right now. Call Garage Doors of Indianapolis at 875-4577 or visit doorstoday.com.
In the morning, call 875-4577. Service today.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
He's a criminal, that's who he is. A vigilante, a public menace.
And Casey Daniels.
Wow, she's an angel.
On 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Casey, did you know Election Day is tomorrow?
I know.
And
Big day.
You have something to vote on, mainly the primary to see who will be the next mayor of the city of Indianapolis.
Yes, and whoever it is, special request, do something about the roads.
Yeah.
They're awful.
I think we can all agree, whoever wins on the Republican side, we all need to be team whoever that person is, because we cannot, under any circumstances, deal with 4 more years of Joe Hogsett running the city. And one guy who would like to be the next mayor of Indianapolis is our good friend Abdul Hakim Shabazz. Joins us now on the DriveHubler.com hotline. Abdul, how are you?
Doing well, my friend. Always good to be here. I was talking to my good friends at WIBC Radio.
Okay, so 1 day left to go in the race. How you feeling? The votes get cast and counted tomorrow.
1 day cannot get here soon enough, believe you me. No, it's been a process. Like I said, we started this, back in November, kind of thinking about it, putting together an exploratory committee and all that fun stuff. And we feel good about all the challenges we've had, financial wise and some other things. We feel really good about where we are and what we're doing, and we think we'll be victorious tomorrow evening.
So let's talk about that. It sort of does kind of come down to, you're the guy with the long-standing relationships and kind of name ID in the city, but I don't think you thought you were going to run against a guy who ends up putting what I think will be over $1 million into this primary before it's all said and done. Jefferson Shreve, how has his money changed, or has it changed what you guys have done in this primary?
Well, the joke we told my wife the other day, honey, we should feel good about ourselves, because guess what? We have at least $2 million worth of name ID out there. Because technically that's what Jefferson, my good friend, had to spend. Like I said, obviously we knew that going into this race we could either be the sole money raiser or be a challenger. We knew we were going to have challenges. So our game plan number one is to be flexible going throughout this whole process. Number two, we knew Jefferson. When Jefferson got in the race, he had a lot of money as his attachment. But once again, that's a lot of money to spend to get to the universe of basically 30,000 voters. So we kept our message focused. We kept our message targeted, and that's how we did our campaign.
Abdul joining us on DriveHubler.com hotline. Mayor's race tomorrow in the city of Indianapolis. All right, so what has been the issue when you have been out talking to people, campaigning? Is it crime? Is that the central issue for Indianapolis?
The central issue really depends on where you are. In some neighborhoods, it's crime, obviously. In other neighborhoods, it is roads and infrastructure. In other neighborhoods, it's the schools. So it's the crime neighborhoods and the schools, which sort of falls into that economic development public trust window, have been big issues. And I've got some, and it's been great meeting the public because you get some really good ideas and really things you just didn't think about. And some other ideas like, well, how about we just set that over here for a while and walk away?
Casey.
Abdul, Friday night, I live in Indianapolis. Friday night, I heard what appeared to be an entire magazine get emptied, lots of gunfire. And then on Sunday, when I was taking a drive, the roads around me are just awful. So those are my two big concerns as one of your potential constituents, crime and the crumbling infrastructure. So I want to know from you, what are you going to do about it?
Like I said, if you go to AbdulForIndy.com, you see my entire Abdul agenda spelled out there. You see our plan to take care of public safety, a tough but smart approach to dealing with crime. There's also our plan to do with roads and infrastructure as well. I said, a creative solution to deal with our road issue. But it's going to take all of us working together. And unfortunately, Miss Casey, we did not get in the situation overnight, but hopefully we can get out of it. I'd say hopefully within 2 to 3 years.
Okay, now I heard last night somebody asked you on your Twitter Live, what are you going to do about the perception of people who don't live in Indianapolis but have heard all of the tales of the crime and everything and are afraid to come downtown?
I think to deal with those folks, one, like I said, it's going to take a lot of talking to because, like I said, people in Carmel, Noblesville, Zionsville, Greenwood, Greenfield, Brownsburg, Avon, Plainfield. If they don't have to come downtown, they won't anymore. So we need to, number one, it's like, let them know that, hey, you know what, downtown's going to be safe. It's going to be good because, you know what, you got new leadership on the 25th floor. I think a lot of people are just waiting for that new leadership to pop up because if they get the new leadership, they'll be in a much better place to come back to downtown Indianapolis.
Abdul, our guest, he's running for the mayor of Indianapolis, voting your final chance to vote, of course. There is early voting tomorrow. Yeah, so you were doing the Facebook Live last night, and I'm curious, as you have been kind of out meeting people and talking to people and doing these various forums, whether they're virtual or in person, it seems like there is a lost hope for the city, and as a Hoosier lifer, that sucks because Indianapolis is the capital city. Can you, if you're elected, can you bring that sense of optimism and excitement back to Indianapolis?
I think so. Now, for some folks, it'll be like, very easy to do. Other folks, it'll take time. But regardless, whether it takes, a week, a month, a year, or a couple years, we're going to bring the city back and bring it back. We're going to make it what it used to be.
Have you learned anything during this campaign? Like, you've never been the campaigner before. You've always been the guy who's covered the campaigns. What have you learned that you said, boy, I really didn't know that or I didn't anticipate that?
Well, let's put it this way. In most news conferences, I get the first question. Now I get the first question again, but now it's just different.
Has it been a positive experience for you? Is it something that you say, I'm glad I did this? Win, lose, or draw tomorrow, it's something I'm really glad that I did.
Yeah, it's yeah, I would say yeah. I'm glad I did it because of all the check marks that kind of bounce off on the political side of things. Like, you know what? Well, it's kind of talk about being a candidate, but never been a candidate. But now we are. So now let's see what happens.
All right, if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing, if they're still undecided in the mayor's race, how can they do that?
How can you still be undecided, folks?
I don't
know. He's going to go and vote. He's going to go and vote tomorrow. It's AbdulForIndy.com, Abdul4Indy.com.
And Abdul, we've given up trying to understand the voting populace a long time ago, so we'll leave each person to their own. But hey, man, good luck. We appreciate you, and have a great day.
Thanks, buddy. Take care.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Chapters of this story take a whole month to tell. This is May. It starts with twists and turns on the IMS road course for the GMR Grand Prix. Then PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying and the Firestone Fast 6 shootout. May continues with Indy's biggest party, Miller Lite Card Day. And all roads lead to the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gamebridge. This is where heroes become legends and legends become legendary. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
There's nothing more important than time. Time for you and time for family. If issues like high blood pressure or high cholesterol run in your family, make time for highly skilled heart care too. At Indiana University Health, you can book a same-day appointment with the state's most preferred provider of cardiovascular care. See a top cardiologist today, then get back to what's most important without skipping a beat. Visit iuhealth.org/heart to book your appointment today.
The greenhouse is full of color at Sundown Gardens. Summer annuals and hanging baskets are arriving daily at 186th Street and Spring Mill Road. SundownGardens.com. SundownGardens.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Another bank is dead. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. J.P. Morgan will be taking over most of the assets of First Republic Bank after the FDIC took control this morning. The failure of First Republic is the nation's second largest ever, and the failure will cost the FDIC about $13 billion. On the subject of finances, Congressman Rudy Yoakum of Indiana, among Republicans, still urging President Biden to work with the GOP in a deal to cut spending and raise the debt ceiling.
House leaders, the Senate leaders, and the president sit down, come together, negotiate a deal that everyone can live with.
He says the House has already done its job. Now it's time for Senate Democrats and the president to do theirs. It's finally May, which means we're 26 days away from the Indianapolis 500. Drivers will be at IMS first for the GMR Grand Prix in 2 weeks. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. These are tough times for everyone, so dealing with your timeshare may not be your biggest concern. But when this passes, do you still want a lifetime of payments, fees, and commitments for a timeshare you were misled into buying?
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started the timeshare cancellation industry by exposing the ugly truth about timeshares and giving folks the straight facts. I've been fighting the timeshare giants ever since, so no one knows this industry better than me and my team. Today, we have saved our clients an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Imagine putting those timeshare dollars back in your pocket. Give my office a call today. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley Financial now for your free information kit. 800-611-5252. That's 800-611-5252. 800-611-5252.
Learn how a Retire Shield plan from Crown Haven Wealth Advisors provides clear, straightforward retirement solutions that are custom tailored for you. This Sunday on WIBC from 9 to 10 a.m.
Hey, Janie. You know what one of my favorite things about high school sports is? Seeing young fans in the stands cheering on their community.
I love watching elementary-age kids wearing their team's colors, holding up homemade signs, faces painted, just full of hopes and dreams. I'm Janie Ulmer.
And I'm Brian Lewis. We're both assistant commissioners of the Indiana High School Athletic Association. We're also both former student athletes who were once those young fans in the stands, dreaming about wearing a jersey for our high school one day.
When you support high school sports, you protect the next generation's dream of representing their high school with pride.
And you ensure the invaluable learning experience of education-based athletics is available for years to come.
So buy a ticket to your high school's athletic events, because it doesn't just support today's student athletes.
It supports tomorrow's too.
This is investing in your community. This is protecting their dream. This is your IHSAA.
There's a race going on inside your body, and sometimes the bad guys, otherwise known as arthritis, get there first. That's when the joint pain kicks in.
Your healing process is just too slow and just can't catch up, and it needs just a little bit of help from QC Kinetics.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a QC Kinetics medical director.
We all know that you can heal yourself. If you get a cut, it heals on its own. Your joints are no different. We can take the healing properties from your blood, concentrate them down, and put them in the spot that you need the help. It's amazing. Your body can heal itself.
At QC Kinetics, that's called regenerative medicine. No surgery or steroids, just lasting relief, the natural way.
The fact that we can treat them without surgery, but using their own body's natural healing process, without medications, without steroids, without surgery, it's just amazing.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. 317-559-PAIN.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
I'm so sorry you have just reached my answering machine.
317-684-8444. That is the phone number. If you'd like to contribute, questions, comments, smart remarks, these have been carefully selected by Rob M. Kendall.
So earlier in the show, you had played a clip of your boyfriend, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Sure.
And he was on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd.
Not my boyfriend. He is married with children, by the way, but we like to say that.
Well, yeah, look, I have seen many different looks in many women's eyes over the years, and the look that you have when you mention his name is...
there a twinkle there?
Well, it's rare. I've rarely seen that, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
However, so he was on Meet the Press, and he was asked about genders, and Chuck Todd went on some bizarre thing about, I mean, it was so weird to see a national television, a host of a once acclaimed national television show, try to say that science is showing that there's more than two I mean, I don't even remember. Kevin, do we have that audio from earlier in the show? Because I want to play this guy's phone call, but I want to make sure we describe what he's responding to. Okay, here is the clip of Chuck Todd and Vivek Ramaswamy on Meet the Press.
How do you know it's that? Again, how do you know, are you confident that you know that gender is as binary as you're describing it? Are you confident that it isn't a spectrum?
I am.
You know this as a scientist?
Well, there's two X chromosomes if you're a woman, an X and a Y. That means you're a man.
There's a lot of scientific research out there.
This.
There's a lot of scientific research out there that says gender is a spectrum.
Chuck,
okay,
I respect.
Stop. Okay, so you have a host of a national television show attempting to tell you and trying to say there's some scientific basis to say that there's more than men and women?
Yeah.
I mean, is that it?
Yeah. There's a spectrum for gender. That's what he was saying.
Well, and here's how...
He doesn't cite the scientific research, by the way.
Well, of course not. And I was telling you guys earlier in the show that here is how absurd our society has become. Years ago, South Park did an episode, or episodes plural, it was multiple ones, where they were trying to figure out who Eric Cartman, who was one of the little kids on South Park, who his dad was. And there was this big mystery about, is it the Denver Broncos? Is it, whoever? And ultimately, what they came up with, because they were pointing out the absurd, and now this was in the late 90s, was that his mom was also his dad. And they did that because of how, uber rare that would be, ridiculous that would be, and people would go, huh? But now we've gone from South Park spoofing something and
to Chuck Todd saying this is real.
Yeah, trying to say this is totally mainstream. This is totally normal. And we pointed out that until very recently, gender dysphoria, it was considered, what's the word for it, Casey, by the medical community? A disorder.
A mental health
Right.
disorder.
It was considered a disorder. Because it's the same way as, look, I have obsessive compulsive disorder. The reason it's called a disorder is because it's not normal. Now, look, through various things, I've been able to deal with it, and other than checking the garage door 93 times before I go to work, I lead a pretty normal life. I didn't always, though. It was pretty crippling at one point. It's a disorder. It's not normal to fear touching things. But I don't get all offended when people say obsessive compulsive disorder, because I'm an adult, I'm a grown-ass person, and I'm able to recognize, and it's part of the treatment of dealing with it, that it's not normal. So don't tell me it's normal. Don't tell me, Rob, it is normal to check your refrigerator 13 times or make sure a door is locked 27 times.
Rob, everybody obsessively washes their hands a dozen times.
Right, I don't get offended because it's not normal. It is a disorder, and it is a disorder to be a man and think you should be a woman. It is a disorder to be a woman and think you should be a man. It is a disorder to want to cut your penis off. That is not normal. And yet in society now, we placate these people. I would not expect anyone to placate what I did. When I was getting help and being able to live with obsessive compulsive disorder, the worst thing that could have happened to me was for a therapist or a doctor to say, what you're doing is fine. Sure, you wash your hands so much they bleed. That's okay. Everything's fine. It's not fine. It wasn't fine. This is not fine. And yet Chuck Todd has the audacity on national television to go, oh, there's lots of things between a man and a woman. It's totally normal to be between a man and a woman. All of that being said, sometimes people on this show hear what they want to hear, and they don't hear the whole thing. And this guy called, and he's a very nice guy. He listens to the show. He's a fan of the show. I'm going to play his call, and then maybe we'll address it on several levels.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of 5 boys. One of my brothers was gay, proving the point that 1 in 5 men are gay. He was 1 year older than me, and when I'm playing with Army men and Tonka trucks and building tree houses, he played with Barbie dolls. He was born feminine. He wasn't transgender, it turned out to be, but he was gay, junior high, high school, and he wasn't what they used to call in the closet, but he had a small group of friends and soon moved out to the gay community in San Francisco. But he was born feminine, as a child. And Mr. Ramaswamy saying that it's a mental disorder. Is that a mental disorder? If you are born with feminine genes, and he was never transgender. He wasn't ever transgender, to my knowledge, until he was 18 and moved out to San Francisco.
Okay, so first of all, it's unclear whether the guy was actually transgender or just gay. But if he was transgender, this doesn't mean you just become. There's a reason all these people are doing this now and they didn't do it before. It's learned behavior from society, not only saying it's okay, but promoting it. And by the way, being transgender and gay are two totally
different things.
Totally separate things.
And Vivek Ramaswamy was not talking about being gay. He was talking about transgender dysmorphia, where people are chopping off parts of their body.
Growing new parts of their body.
That's the part that he's saying is being taught in schools that is not normal.
And we should not tell people it is. The same way people should not have told me what I went through was normal. It's called a disorder. It doesn't make you less of a human. The same way it didn't make me any less of a human. You still have all the rights and privileges guaranteed to you under the Constitution. And if at the end of the day you want to chop your penis off because you believe you're a woman, you have the right to do it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you, that's fine. That's normal. Because it's not. All right, Kev, what else we got?
Hey, Rob, do you remember how much the liability was for the teacher pension fund? I was thinking, with the $6 billion surplus that we had, plus the extra $1.5 billion that the General Assembly wasn't expecting for this latest budget, plus the, I think you said $7 billion extra on State House happenings and new spending in this budget, that's $14.5 billion. I would think that should be enough to put a pretty large dent in that pension liability.
So we got this phone call this morning, so I've got to look in to find out what the exact number is. But it was the premise of his call that I wanted to talk about. So the reason he's calling about that is we talked about how at the very end of the legislative session that just wrapped up,
about 1 a.m,
the Indiana General Assembly went back, the Republicans, Democrats had nothing to do with this, the Republicans went back behind closed doors and decided they were going to extract $300 million with no discussion, no public debate, no public testimony. We're doing this from the pay down of the pre-1996 teacher pension debt and give it to public education, which totally flies in the face of why last year people like Jeff Thompson, who is now the head of Ways and Means, told me we will absolutely not give you any more than $200 of the $1,500 of your money we're sitting on.
Because paying down that debt is the number one priority.
We were told we must pay that down, and then once we do that, we must not be interfered in any way. It was so important, Casey. Remember, they changed the state law last year because it used to be if there were above $2 billion in reserves, automatic taxpayer refund. Well, the lawmakers last year said, well, I guess we screwed up on that. We got too much money here. So they changed the law to say anything between $2.5 billion and $5 million automatically went to pay down that teacher pension debt because we were told that is so important. Yet at the very last minute, when it came to appeasing the angry red-shirted teachers, they pulled $300 million. So they told you, kiss our ass, you're not getting your money back. But to appease the angry red-shirted teachers, they took $300 million in the dark of night out of that pension fund.
Magically found some money.
And this guy's absolutely right that if they actually wanted to pay the thing down and it was so important as they say, because there is some merit to saying we're going to pay down our debt. But they act like it's an either-or thing. Well, you can't have any help with the gas tax because we're paying down the teacher pension debt. Can't have any help with your property taxes, which, by the way, new assessments are rolling in just as bad as the assessments you had before. So these a-hole Republicans who told you, well, we don't need a permanent solution here because this thing will just solve itself soon. Well, apparently this year wasn't the year it's going to solve itself.
Right. We're going to have a task force to look into see if there's really a problem.
2 years.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely right. They don't actually care about paying the debt down. It is an excuse. Just like they got the new budget is $7 billion bigger, Casey, than the budget 2 years ago. In 2 years, Casey, you're telling me the need for government grew $7 billion?
No, I'm not telling you that. That's what they're saying.
And so, I mean, but the premise of all of this is they will always find something, some excuse, some reason to not give you your money. Because your money is power. And the more of your own money you have, the more power you have over them. And these Republicans in this state do not want you to have power over your own life. So even if they ever finally get this thing paid off, there will be something else.
Right. What's just the next thing in line?
All right. You want to take a break? Then we got a couple more of these voicemails we can get to, or we can do something else, whatever you want.
Yeah, it's Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, how safe is the banking industry and how well did the Colts do in the draft? That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
My name is Leroy Lewis III, and I'm a proud supporter of my wife, Maggie A. Lewis, who leads our family with a gentle heart and our community as a servant leader. Since becoming a member of the City County Council, I have watched her wake up every day before the sun rises, responding to emails and text messages from colleagues and constituents while looking out for the best interests of our son, Leroy Lewis IV, including driving him to school each and every day since he started kindergarten. We call our family Team Lewis, but Maggie believes all those she serves are members of Team Lewis as well. Her passion for helping others is why on May 2nd, Election Day, we need to re-elect Majority Leader Maggie Lewis to our City County Council. She's a leader who is prepared, experienced, and dedicated, and not to mention a great wife and awesome mom.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lewis. Your vote does make a difference. So let us hear from you on May 2nd. Paid for and authorized by Maggie Lewis Campaign. Peter O'Coffer, Treasurer.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon. You wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Have you noticed that most ice creams now come in smaller cartons? Not Bluebell. We're still making a full half-gallon and a full pint of tasty goodness. Bluebell wouldn't have it any other way.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at Walmart Supercenters and Walmart Neighborhood Markets.
What you've heard about probiotics is probably wrong.
I eat yogurt, so I don't need to take a probiotic.
Probiotics? They don't really work. It's time to learn the truth about probiotics from Align, the probiotic brand recommended by gastroenterologists 2 times more than any other probiotic brand. Align has probiotics to naturally help relieve occasional bloating, gas, and abdominal discomfort. Try Align for a month and see how great a healthy gut can feel at AlignProbiotics.com.
World-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Come into Bell Tire today. You'll get the lowest tire price, period. Like up to $150 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires. You'll also get a guy who will give you free lifetime flat repairs, tire rotations, and alignment checks. Get up to $150 off select sets of 4 Goodyear tires, plus more free services and more out of your tires and more for your money. It's how we make the lowest tire price feel even lower at Bell Tire. See store and belltire.com for details and offer expiration.
I'm Mark Myers. I was born and raised in Greenwood, and I'm proud to call it home. I'm committed to serving our community. I was a Greenwood police officer for 14 years and still serve as a special deputy for the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. I'm Mark Myers. I'm running for re-election as your mayor, and I'm asking for your vote because I know how important safety and security are to our family. Paid for by Myers for Greenwood.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Tighten up.
Line up on it all. Now, come on, all.
11:51. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC 317-684-8444. That is the phone number with your voicemails. We have a couple more.
So I'm going to say this slowly for people to comprehend, Casey. And if anybody would like to use this, feel free. I don't need any credit, though you know how popular we are. Do you know we're number one?
I heard that.
You can feel free to say Rob Kendall told me to do this because we're very popular. Property taxes. Mm-hmm. If you're going to consider running for public office next year in especially a Republican primary, property taxes are the issue. And if you can run a coherent together campaign and you can run on property taxes, you will win your primary. If you can raise a few dollars and you can hit your doors and you can get your signs out and you make property taxes the issue of your campaign, the issue you don't get off. If you're running for state house or you're running for state senate, or if you're even running for a local elected office, you will win. Because these Republicans at the state house are so vulnerable and they don't see it because they're so arrogant. It is like just like setting the trap to the cheese, and all you guys got to do is close the trap. And I think the same thing is true in the general election with Donald Rainwater, who announced on Friday he's going to run.
He announced on this number one rated show.
And I know he will he is going to make property taxes a central part of his campaign. Thus far, Braun, Silent Suzanne, and Doden have not said a single solitary word about property taxes. And I think you're going to see, much like with COVID in 2020. Now, do I think it's going to be enough to propel Rainwater to victory? Probably not. It's a very big hill to hop over. But he will again make a sizable dent in the voting populace because Republicans don't care about your property taxes, and Donald Rainwater does. Somebody called about hearing Don on the show on Friday.
Yes, just heard Donald Rainwater on the radio. I voted for him the last time around. I plan, and my wife plan, on voting for him again. And this will be the first time in my life, at age 72, that I will be putting up a political sign in the front yard for Donald Rainwater or for any politician. He's got at least my sign and our vote. Thank you.
Okay, so Donald Rainwater said he's not for bigger government. He's for better government.
Property taxes are the issue. If you're a person who wants to run for state house, if you're a person who wants to run for state senate, if you're a person who wants to run, I guess, for governor, that is the issue. Listen to me. I'm pretty good at this politics stuff, Casey.
Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth?
I'm pretty good at the politics stuff. I don't have many talents, but understanding the public at large and the politics in play are two of the few talents I have been blessed with. And I am telling you, if you get on that, and if you don't get off that, and you do the nuts and bolts of campaigning, you can beat even the most entrenched of incumbents next year. All right, one final phone call. We had Susan Beckwith on with us for the Mind Your Manners segment.
Correct.
On Friday.
Yeah.
She was talking about lawn care etiquette. And one of the things we discussed about what is the obligation of the property owner when it comes to those grass clippings.
Yeah, and you let yours go out in the street.
Yeah.
And we both kind of ganged up on you and said, you shouldn't do that. Blow them back into the yard.
I pay enough in taxes. The Brownsburg Street Department can deal with that. But I have a little bitty lawnmower, so it's not like I'm blowing, just a cavalcade of grass clippings into the street. But somebody did call about that.
There is actually a law that states you cannot blow your grass clippings into the street because, as Casey was saying, it makes it a traffic hazard for motorcyclists. Have a good day.
Now, I can almost guarantee, and if this guy wants to show me the code, then I'll eat it and say I'm wrong. That's probably a city by city or town by town municipal ordinance, because they would control those streets, so they would control the public safety of those streets, and each town or city or county would have its own interpretation of that. However, if there is a state code, that guy can show it to me, I will totally eat it.
I'll have to look that up and see.
Yeah, now
if
this
it's
is
a
your
state
question.
code.
You should do your side piece on that. Why Rob was wrong on the grass clippings.
Yeah, I'll look it up today, but I think it's funny that you're still trying to get out of doing that one last task in your yard care.
I do way more than most people when it comes to my yard.
You need to just go buy a cheap leaf blower and blow the clippings back into your own yard.
I would, but it all went to the property tax increase. I got no more money.
No one does.
I'm going to be living with Kevin before it's all said and done.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. Good job today. And thank you for listening. We're going to count on you to be back here tomorrow. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Premier Deck Coating, the ultimate deck protection. Who are they? Well, they're a sister company of Rhino Shield, and Premier Deck Coating is the product you need if you're tired of applying the same old stain and paint every couple of years to your deck. It's Terry, Stacy, and David and I have a deck that's probably 25 years old. The countless hours and the money that we spend on maintaining that deck never ends. And then we heard about Premier Deck Coating. Family owned, based right here in Indy, and they are going to completely transform our deck with their special formulated product, which repels moisture, scratch resistant in virtually any color that we want, and backed by a 10-year guarantee. No more spending time staining or painting every year. Premier Deck Coating will keep our deck looking great for years to come. Premier Deck Coating can also do fences and pergolas too. For a free quote, call 317-696-4071 or visit premierdeckcoating.com.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Mother's Day is less than 2 weeks away. Show your mom who the favorite child really is. Hellsberg Diamonds has an assortment of Mother's Day gifts, including